everybody! Welcome on in this Friday for what's going to be the conclusion, well, not the conclusion of the whole thing, but we're going to be finishing up the main game today. I'm going to keep the stream going a little bit longer than normal until we wrap the whole thing up, because it is the best point of ending. There's really no breakpoints in episode 6, so we're just going to trek all the way through there. So I want to just say up front, do my typical disclaimer: if you're finding this video for the first time and you are looking for a regular Alan Wake playthrough, this is not the right place for that. We are going to be pausing very often to look at supplementary and multimedia material connected to the Alan Wake's story, including comic books, Alan Wake files, the survival guide, things of that nature. But I do have a regular run-through of the remastered game on the channel already in the live section, so if you want to look at that, cool. Also, if you're looking on lore videos relating to it, I have a crap ton of Remedyverse lore videos. Oh gosh. So we're gonna pause at the start screen here for a little bit, because because we're going a little bit longer, I do have a pot of coffee on right now. I'm waiting for it to finish brewing, and then as soon as it's done, we can get the ball rolling. Anyways, how is everybody doing today? Excited to see what's going to happen to their favorite side character in this FBI Coffis Thermos guy. Seriously, James, the Thermos guy, when I was doing all the research for this run-through, was probably the most intriguing part of the survival guide, to be 100% frank. So I would say there's two really interesting things that came out of the survival guide, other than the extra background lore, like the stuff with the fallen airplane and things like that. But there's two characters that are the survival guide only that are really interesting. But anyways, let me go ahead and put you guys on a quick BRB screen, and we will get this ball rolling as soon as I'm back. 1 second. And I am back. Let me get the headphones on, and let's get this ball rolling forward. Got my stack of notes right here.
Previously on Alan Wake, I wrote a horror story that
so we
has
don't
come
forget
true.
anything.
Thomas Zane did the same in the 70s.
You will go no further.
If I continue like the Dark Presence wants me to, the story I'm writing won't save Alice. It's a horror story. No one will survive.
You knew Zane! Thomas Zane! You're the Lady of the Light in the song!
He left something behind to help me. The clicker.
Alan thought of this as he stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, the clicker in his hand. He took a deep breath and jumped.
I can get to her now. I can finish this.
Boom. Alright. Episode 6 prologue. 2 years ago.
I had a hangover. My head was about to explode and the light hurt my eyes. I needed my sunglasses and painkillers to dull the pain. In one of my finer moments of self-deception, I swore to quit drinking.
Haven't we all? Okay, let me know how the audio balancing is going. I will adjust it if necessary.
The sunglasses made the world look bearable. Now I could keep my eyes open without feeling like a vampire in the sun.
Alright, let's go get those painkillers. Interfect him, maybe. Just so we can get that buzzing to go away, because it's so annoying.
Pills worked fast. The prospect of being awake started to seem bearable again.
Wish you had free camera in the remake. I mean, I'm pretty sure there is ways to have free camera in the remake. It's just, I don't know how. On the Steam version of the original game, I am able to use the free cam. It's actually pretty easy. Let's head on through.
There was a message waiting for me on the machine.
You have one new message.
Ow! Are you still asleep? Wakey, wakey! You should have your show on your TiVo. If Alice wasn't too mad to record it. As she called me earlier and really chewed me out. Yeah, we went a little overboard last night. But parties are a part of this business. Al, look, I'm saying this as your friend. She's not doing your career any favors by trying to run your life like that, okay? I'll talk to you later, Al. Watch the show.
Hello, hello, Annie. Is that the first time I've seen you in here? Welcome on in. Hope you are doing good. Yes, they had answering machines in 2008. Yeah, yes.
I'd been a guest on the talk show. The previous
Absolutely.
night, talking about my latest book. The show was supposed to be waiting for me on our TiVo.
The real question is, why do they still have a landline in 2008? Because most people don't have landlines anymore. Okay, so that little post-it is no longer on the fridge, because it was apparently the previous year when they were doing renovations in the building. Oh yeah, we had one, as far as I can remember, probably 94, 95.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Harry Garret Show.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We have a great show tonight. I've been talking with the best-selling author Alan Wake about his new book, The Sudden Stop.
Yeah, good read. Go buy it.
No, it is a good read. Look, I'm gonna be honest here.
Is that wise?
No, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I got people who give me the lowdown on books. I'm a busy guy. But this one, I actually read from cover to cover. I mean, I'm a big fan.
Wow, thanks.
Now, this might be a spoiler for those who haven't read the book yet. Based on the sales figures, the 2 people out there who haven't read the book yet. But this last book is all about the death of the main character, the hard-boiled New York detective, Alex Casey. Now, there's been a lot of outrage about this. Why the hell did you kill Casey? What the hell were you thinking, man?
Good riddance. No, seriously though, 7 years and 6 books is a long time. He was a gloomy guy to spend all your working hours with, and it was a good run. But it's time to explore new things. My next book will be a departure from the old for me.
You selfish bastard, always thinking of yourself. Well, you've certainly given us a lot of entertainment over the years. And now that you mention it, Casey was a gloomy guy. Never had much luck with his love life with the ladies. Was that autobiographical in any way?
Yeah, no kidding. Casey's lady friends tended to die on him. With Casey, it was all about his pain. No, nothing autobiographical about that. I'm a happily married man. My wife is my muse.
Well, congratulations. That's great to hear. So, how's the publicity tour been treating you?
Good, great. But I gotta say, I'm glad to be back home in New York.
Well, you've certainly been on the news a lot lately. Lots of parties and, you got into a fight with some paparazzi.
Oh, man. Well, that guy was really in my face. I lost my temper. I know that wasn't cool.
You are famous for that temper.
Well, I did also write several books.
Well, your latest novel is called The Sudden Stop, and it's in bookstores now. Go get it. That means the 2 of you out there who haven't bought it yet. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you tonight. I want to thank all our guests for the evening. Alan Wake, Sam Lake. Once more, do the face for a Sam. There it is. And our musical guests, Poets of the Fall. Thank you. And
Poets of the
At
Fall.
least I'd been funny. I told myself I could live with that.
Hey, honey. watch the show?
I didn't say anything stupid if that's what you want to know.
Okay, Grumpy. You want an aspirin or something?
Are you gonna start with me about drinking now?
You know what? Go back to sleep, Alan.
What? Now you can't even talk to me?
Well, this morning I was angry because you said you'd be home at midnight and you showed up at 7 a.m. and passed out in mid-sentence. Now I'm over it. Are you angry?
This goddamn tour. It's gotten out of hand.
Oh, honey. It's almost over, right? We can get back to normal and you can start writing again.
I'm sorry, honey.
Alan, you're not thinking straight. Just take a shower and go back to bed, huh?
Yeah, you're right, honey. I'm sorry. Once this is over, let's go away together. A vacation. Just you and me. Some peace and quiet.
Present day. Done with the flashback.
Somehow, the clicker was the key to the cabin. I had to return to Cauldron Lake to save Alice.
So we'll have a lot to go over to as soon as I get access to the game. I try not to talk over
I'm
cutscenes.
going back to the lake to finish this. I'm going to write an ending to the story in the manuscript on my own terms, to make it all right.
Why can't you just write it here?
The last page is still in the typewriter. I need to read it first. Everything needs to be just right. Zane tried to cut some corners, and it didn't end well.
Okay, ready when you are.
I'm sorry, Sarah, but I need to do this alone. Barry, take her gun. Miss Weaver, close the door when I leave.
Good luck, Al.
See you later. When I got out, it was warm and sunny. I'd flicked the switch of the clicker. Had it done this? I didn't stop to question it. I had to take advantage of the sunlight to get to the lake. On Zane's page, I'd stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, about to use the clicker. That's where I was headed.
Oh my god, there's multiple vehicles. Other people live in this town? And that one just disappeared into nothing. I guess the draw distance was bad.
Alone, in daylight, surrounded by the beauty of the Pacific Northwest landscape. It was hard not to let doubt creep in one last time. I could still chalk everything up to a dream, a delusion. I had enough imagination to make up something like this, having been in the cabin all this time, trapped in a story inside my head, gone mad from grief over Alice's death like Hartman had claimed. There would be no way of knowing. I told myself it didn't really matter. My course was set.
Alrighty. I mean, draw distance would actually be interesting within the Void universe, which technically is connected to the RCU, where the characters who reside within Void know that they live within a digital reality and therefore can manipulate things like draw distance and 2D versus 3D reality and bunt mapping and texture packages and things like that. But to answer a question I saw earlier, what's the relevance of the live action sections? They're not intended to imply that what happens on TV therefore is a separate higher tier of reality where it's live action versus this. Kind of like, spoilers real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the game, and when I unpause it, if you don't want to get spoilers on Fire Force, I'm gonna pause, and I'll unpause when the spoilers are done. So what happens at the end of that anime essentially is the protagonist ascends to a higher tier of reality where he recognizes he lives in a two-dimensional space as an animated character, and he witnesses real life as the world that existed before him, which is freaking crazy, and it's very RCU coded in that sense. Anyways, let's get back to it. Yeah, I don't think that's the case, though, whatsoever. Now, I do want to comment a little bit on what happened with the TV show. But anyways, so according to the survival guide, the only reason Alan ended up on the Harry Garret show that night is because the time slot was accidentally got tossed to him. Originally, there was an actress who was supposed to be taking that seat in that slot on TV, but apparently she took too many anxiety pills and couldn't make the show. So they bumped Alan up to be on that show right next to Sam. Now, they also, in the guide, Alan refers to Sam as some Finnish guy, quote unquote. So it implies he does not know him. And based upon what we see in Alan Wake 2, it's likely that this Sam Lake is an actor, and that's why the other person who's supposed to have that slot was also an actress. So it's supposed to be 2 actors in the show. She couldn't make it, Alan got bumped up, and it was just random coincidence that Sam Lake and Alan Wake are right next to each other. And so that's answering the question, why did Alan not recognize him in Alan Wake 2? Because he doesn't know him. It was just a pure coincidence. Headcanon, it was Poe. No, Poe's not an actress. And at this point in time, the in-game character who we believe is Poe, Samantha Wells, is not. I don't know. There was no inference in this House of Dreams that she was a musician or a vocalist at that time. And we only hear about what happens to her 2 years after the end of this game, when she moves into Ordinary and that whole plotline starts. Anyways, let's take a stop and get started on our coffee thermos, boy. Very beginning. Yeah, for like, I don't... It's hard, because what happens in Lake House very heavily implies that Samantha Wells is the in-game echo of Poe, but in this House of Dreams, we see zero evidence that she has any kind of artistic or musical talent. So maybe it's a friend of hers, or they imply that that blog is in relation to the woman that was being held in the Lake House facility, but it's hard to say. I'm not sold on that, but that's what the game's trying to make us think. Alright, let's head over. Alrighty, so we're starting off... Page 204. I got it on the first try. Boom, there we go. Alrighty, on the picnic table at the Scenic Vista area. I got a dizzy spell today, looking over the edge. The vertigo is getting worse. I had to sit down on one of the benches, not used to this bright sunshine, I suppose. Things are not looking good for him, unfortunately. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff we got to get done before we even jump in the car, or jump in the truck. SUV. Whatever the vehicle is. For first things first, we need to go ahead and finish off those comic books. Let's go ahead and get things going. So let's start off with Night Springs. So where we left off was Frank taking out a bunch of Taken right as Alan enters the well-lit room, and it looks like it's about over. His flares are gone. It looks like he's out of ammo. He got smacked. He's on his knees. Axe is swinging towards his head. Alan opens up the shoebox. Tries to shoot right behind him, hoping, and there's not enough. He's down. Until Alan flips the switch, click, and boom, the sun just emerges and all the Taken that were about to kill him, poof, into nothing. So Alan, unknowingly, when he hit the clicker, saved Frank's life right then and there. What? For a moment, he wondered if this was what death was like. The pain convinced him otherwise. It stripped layers of complexity from the world until there was just the next step, and Sarah or no Sarah, and what would happen when he knew which. And he literally is crawling along the top of the dam trying to get to the well-lit room. Sorry, Sarah, I can't. And just as Alan runs out. So while we watched that cutscene earlier, Frank was literally crawling right behind him on the dam. Wait, please. I'm here. And little by little, he managed to get his strength back. Walk inside the elevator, head on down. Oh, Cynthia, I guess you weren't kidding. Opens the well-lit room. The world was full of light. He gets in there. Barry is still sitting there crying his guts out after the whole thing, and Sarah's trying to comfort him, which I find absolutely adorable. Sarah, and of course Cynthia's just standing in the background, not doing anything, because let's be honest, after 40 years, her job is finally done. This is the first moment where she can actually rest. And I'm happy for her. Daddy, my baby. He was so happy to be in it with her. The end. So yes, this happened literally as he jumped in the vehicle and drove away. Poor thing. So this is how they ended up getting out. Because otherwise, let's be honest, if Frank had not shown up, these two, like all three of them, basically probably would have died in this cell. Because no one knew they were here, and if Alan died, no one would come back and open them up. It's locked from the exterior. Frank had to show up here. Otherwise, we would have lost all three of these characters. And with that, we can officially click this tab off completely. Boom. Oh yeah, and all this stuff on the map is happening right up here. Bright Falls Power Plant. And now he's driving all the way around. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and finish up the Psycho Thriller comic as well. There's not too much on this one. So where we last left off, Dr. Hartman tricked the Taken Mott. Deputy Thornton and Deputy Mulligan took out the Taken. And now it's daytime, presumably right when Alan hit the clicker again. I mean, Sudoku Dragon, technically speaking, even if Alan didn't die, he went into the dark place and he never came back. Therefore, still there'd be no one to let them out of the vault. So regardless of what happened, if Alan succeeds or Alan dies, they're stuck there. So in Departure, Alan had to write some kind of a loophole to allow them to get out. Otherwise, he just killed 3 people. And his loophole was grab Frank, bring him into the plot, direct him where he needed to go. Which is very considerate of him, I must say. Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, great. Now that we got that over with, we got a bunch of questions for you. Yep, I don't think so. What? Listen, sir, this will only take a little while. Any inquiries you have from me should be directed at my attorney. I believe you know the way out. And already he's clamming up. You smug piece of... Whoa, hey, come on, Mulligan. Come on, man. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I know. Let's just go, okay? I need to get away from this place. So, Nurse... It's not Burke, sorry. God, why am I drawing a blank on her name? Sinclair. Nurse Sinclair is going to spill the beans on everything she knows about Hartman's illegal activities to Thornton and Mulligan right now. And he's just saying, I'm out of this place. You better go, huh? Yeah, okay. And he's standing off in that same overlook point where we were in episode 4. Hey, sun's coming up. Sure, asshole. You have no idea. What a dick. It's hard to accept that my current research... And this sunrise, I'm not sure if this is from the clicker sunrise or this is legitimately the sunrise after the following morning. Which would have been when Alice climbs out of the lake. Or swims out of the lake, I should say. Frankly, it doesn't really matter for the purpose of the narrative. I'm just curious. It was hard to accept that my current research could go no further. But I suppose all things must come to an end, and I have always prided myself on my ability to bend rather than break. Hello? It's Emil Hartman. Oh, you've heard? Well, that's to be expected. No, I'm fine, but... I think I have reconsidered your offer. I believe my clinic is unlikely to be operative for a while. I have to leave. I could use a place to land. Yes. Thank you. I'll be in touch. Beyond the shadow you settle for, there's a miracle illuminated. He could have made us all great. He almost did. Okay, who is he talking to? One, it's someone that is aware of weirdness in some form, but legitimately, who is he talking to? Someone previously made an offer to Hartman to bring him into the fold or to use his talents. We know for a fact it's not going to be FBC because due to the Ash Act, he would have been arrested. Like, the FBC would not have tolerated this kind of stuff. At least when they're not the ones personally doing it. As we see with the Lake House facility. Most likely, I'm going to go ahead and say retroactively Blessed. Blessed organizations retroactively. Or some kind of paracriminal organization for sure. Now, Blessed wasn't invented at this point in time, so when they were writing this, obviously that's not what they were thinking. They just said, hey, mysterious group or individual is reaching out to him, and put it in a mystery box, and we'll come back to that later. But retroactively, it would not surprise me if the Blessed Organization had previously contacted him and offered to utilize his talents, but who knows? Who knows? I don't have many regrets in life, but I wish I'd known then what I know now. He could still be with us today. Still, better him than me. The end. Yes, I could have used my, I could have used Zane differently if I was smarter then than I am now. This guy's, ugh. I hate this guy. Alright, but now we are officially done with both of the comic books, so we can close out of this tab permanently. Now, there's a couple more things. We'll go ahead and pop back into the game real quick so we can at least have some ambiance and background music while I talk. You thought Hartman got beaten to death? No. No, Trailblazer. Hartman actually still makes an appearance later on in the series. He's nowhere near done with this story. Alright, so there's a few little details on Deputy Mulligan and Thornton in the survival guide, which I want to go over, even though it's kind of pointless, but hey, it's fun. So apparently Deputy Mulligan tends to sleep in his car while he's on duties and allow more enthusiastic deputies do the work. Which, you know, makes sense. Makes sense. Deputy Mulligan also is a former athlete that is now, he put on a little bit of weight because he stopped exercising after his days back in the day. He basically has a bad diet and he has a lack of activity. Probably because he sleeps in his car on duty all the time. So he's kind of just like, Now we have some stuff for Thornton. So Deputy Thornton is very hyperactive, as we can see in the story, but they say he's also very full of doubt, so he's very insecure, despite his claiming to know everything that's going on at all times. And for some reason, they make the claim that Deputy Thornton is also a huge fan of Steve Buscemi, which is probably where he takes his trademark voice from. Just random factoids. I don't know. Alrighty, so also in the novelization, now this is something I wish they could have done in the game, because it would have looked really cool, but maybe it was just something to do with the lighting in the in-game engine. But in the novelization, Alan notices that when he looks up at the sun, I can't really find the sun right now, so maybe this is in the game, that he notes that the sun looks a little bit hazy. It's not really, it's not right. It appears as if it's not really there. So it makes it very apparent that the sun that's in the air right now is solely there because of the clicker. And that's it. In addition, now this is the part I wish was in the game. If you look out in the distance, it's actually still nighttime. So imagine if in the game you look at the mountain peaks and it's completely dark over there. And the light is only literally like a square mile around where Alan's standing. Yes, Vest. So it very much leads more heavily into the idea that this is a localized alteration to reality rather than a global one. It's not like people over on the other side of the Atlantic saw the sun come up. Or no, I guess the sun was already up for them. Because, yeah, that's how it works. But it's not like people in the rest of the United States or the Western Hemisphere randomly saw the sun come up. It's just a giant spotlight. And that would be really cool if they could show that in-game, but I don't know how they would do that, to be 100% honest. Now, last little thing I wanted to point out is this is in the remastered only. So in the original Xbox release of the game, this advertisement was for Energizer batteries. And because of the whole drama between Remedy and Energizer, they changed it in the Steam version to be a Verizon ad. And now in the remastered version of it, it is an advertisement for the Witch's Ladle and Cauldron Lake Campgrounds. Now, this is a good time to go over reality shifts a second time, Because my personal hypothesis is that the game we're playing right now is not necessarily the exact same game that the original Xbox release was. It's the exact same story, exact same characters, exact same events, same terrain, but the little details that are adjusted were like this, and Tom going from a poet into a filmmaker on the thing, the FBC sending a letter to Frank Breaker, like all those little remastered only details, they only exist here because Alan was in the process of writing Initiation Return and needed to have believable foundation to build the story upon. So if he basically couldn't contradict the first book of the trilogy. So he made a second edition of Departure, and the second edition of Departure includes all these other details. Because now it's like, oh yeah, The Witches Later, it was always there. Didn't you read my book from 13 years ago? So Alan did like an editor's note. I mean, kind of. Like, we see this in nonfiction quite often, where an author publishes a book and then later they come across new information, and they say, you know what, let's put this in the story. Or not in the story, let's put this in the book now. This is going to be 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition, and it keeps getting updated and things change within the book. Well, no, I wouldn't use the term draft Sudoku Dragon, because a draft implies the book hasn't been published yet. It's like you write it, you do a 2nd draft, a 3rd draft, a final draft, and then you publish it. But once it's been released, you can do new additions to that publication. So the entire remastered game is literally a version of the story after the reality shift leading up into Return. And that's the easiest way I can go over this. But anyways, let's head on in. And when you interpret everything in that context, it makes it so it's like, oh, it's not the developers retconning it and saying, oh no, that's no longer the case. No. Like, the greatest one is the Tom the Poet poster. In the original version of the story, yes, that is true, that is reality. In the post-reality shift version of it, oh, well, that's no longer the case. But that does not mean it was never the case. It was never the... It's not saying that's never was the case, because things have been altered. The Majestic Motel. Just down the road. Come on in. Comfortable beds, clean rooms, wireless internet, laundry facilities. And according to Deputy Grant, there are no clean rooms because this place is known for its roaches. But anyways. Cable TV and kitchenette in every room. Phone 555-8923. And the reason I'm really harping on this idea of reality shifts within the context of the story is because I've seen it happen all the time, and it's very common to take the events of Alan Wake 2 and try to make those fit into the events of this game. They're like, oh, well, we need to retroactively take what happened in the sequel and apply them to this, and that makes you recontextualize and rewrite the story of the original, and you don't need to do that. Because any variances don't need to be plugged back into the first story because it's post-reality shift. And after reality was changed, it's kind of pointless to try to fit the new universe into the old universe because it's a different... well, I'd argue it's the same universe, but it's a different variant of the same universe, so there's really no point to it. And it gets increasingly frustrating on my end where so much of the conversations around the first game now become, well, according to the second game, therefore we have to take this into account. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have to do that, because that wasn't the case before. It's only the case after the reality shift. Alright, let's head on down and get our first cache. We have to head all the way down to a random cabin. Or shack. Not a cabin, shack. Ching, and let's go ahead and get our flare gun set up, which will really help us when we get into that fight under the underpass. What's up, Rusty Evolution? Welcome on in. First time? Your first time in the stream or first time talking? Glad to have you in, though. Does this also apply to the third game if it gets made? I'd presume so, Forest Leafs. There's no announcement from Remedy that they're even intending to make a third Alan Wake game. Like, I know everyone's talking about, when's the third game? When's the third game? Like, I'm not even... It's not an expectation on my end. Until Resonant and the Max Payne remakes are released, or we get new announcements from Remedy, I'm not really worried about it. And personally, I think they're going to be, at least some of them are going to be more focused on what's going on with Annapurna for a little bit. But we'll talk when we get there. Alright, let's pause and head over and read our hidden cache lore. 1 second. Alright, here we go. Hidden cache lore is this one right here. The writer Thomas Zane once said, "Fighting the darkness leaves an indelible mark on your soul. I suspect the same fate may befall you unless I provide the light, inside the derelict hut at the bottom of the hill by the logging yard." So now she's quoting her dearly departed. Okay, let's get this going. What do you mean, where's the love for Barry? The fan base universally loves Barry Forrest. I'm just afraid, like... We know he's probably not going to be involved in Resonant, only because Alan made a point of getting him out of New York. We know that in Alan Wake 2. We see an email about it. But I'd love if they mention the Blessed Organization. I hope that at least he's tangentially referenced, even though he won't, I don't think he'll be in New York or Manhattan while all this is happening. Well, hello there, Coffee. At least I hope not, because if Barry's in Resonant, that means his life's in danger, and I really don't want that. What happened with Cynthia gave me trust issues. Anyways, the bruiser broke down, and I had to walk the rest of the way. Found the thermos by the crate. Oh, so the FBI his vehicle literally broke down. Well, that sucks. Found the thermos by the crate at the corner of the barn and the pasture close to the tunnel. Cell phone reception is non-existent. We'll try to rendezvous with Nightingale at the Majestic. And this is a further establishment that, yes, so he knows Nightingale. And he tends to rendezvous with him at the Majestic because he knows that's where he's staying. But at this point in time, Nightingale's already been taken, but this guy really doesn't know. Now, my question is, how much time has passed since this guy first arrived in Bright Falls to now? Because it seems like every one of these is at least several hours, if not a day, gap between them. Yeah, don't tell me anything, Marama, even if it's something not that we can't expect. So if the devs are saying you should not expect this in Resonant, I don't even want to know that. I don't even want to know that, because that's going to recontextualize. It's basically going to be a primer for me when I play the game, and I want 0 primers. No primers is best for me. Okay, let's head on up. And through the underpass. And we're stuck. Great. Don't you hate it when the tow truck that's supposed to get your broken vehicle breaks down?
The darkness had touched me. There was a link between us. Always would be. I could feel its presence again, getting closer.
I mean, it's kind of like then you have to get a tow truck to tow the tow truck. It's going to be tow truck reception. Anyways. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. This has nothing to do with anything, but because I just said that the phrase tow truck way too many times, I literally want to see a truck that is a giant tow. Because, you know, wordplay is fun. Moving on.
I will kill your wife.
Well, you're going to save me on alimony if you do that. And I know that's in poor taste. I apologize. Alright, so this is the point where the artificial sun created by the clicker just completely stopped working. It was a time-based thing, so fine, fair. Because let's be 100% honest, if Alan can create a sun out of nowhere permanently, or whenever he feels like it, there would be no drama in the story. And we need drama.
The Dark Presence was no longer trying to capture the writer so he could create the ending it wanted. The writer knew too much. He was too strong, and he carried a weapon left behind by Thomas Zane, something that could hurt it. Now, the darkness was doing everything in its power to simply stop the writer from ever reaching Cauldron Lake and the dark place it came from.
Yep. Yep. Alright, so at this point in the story, according to the survival guide, and remember, the reason why the survival guide gives us insight into Alan's mental state and his internal thought patterns is because David Hodgson, the individual who wrote it, who formerly resided in Watery, right next door to Bright Falls, considers himself a psychic passenger, and he literally was a psychic tag-along throughout Alan's adventure and witnessed everything he did, but also heard all of his thoughts. And the survival guide is what he wrote and documented down during that period of time. So technically, Hodgson is literally stuck inside Alan's head as we speak, as we're driving. Hey, the reason I bring that up is because right at this point, Alan begins to think that the thermoses that he's been picking up were placed in the story specifically by him because they are familiar objects and it'll help ground him into the reality of the story. Rather than being purely fantastical, it's just something that's mundane and ordinary. Okay, gotta make sure we stay in the parking spots. Got enough space on both sides of the line. We are good. Alright, we're at the Majestic. Oh yeah, well Kabasa, I do have one of the collectible thermoses IRL, and I will never use it. I'm never going to fill that with coffee or tea or anything. Alrighty, so we have an advertisement for Watery. This confirmed was not here in the original version of the story. This is only here post-reality shift. Let's take a look around.
Based on the signature in the motel register, Agent Nightingale had stayed here, in room number 2.
Room number 2. The Majestic Motel. General information. Refundable $100 security deposit required on all reservations. No personal checks accepted. We take all major credit cards and bank cards. Checkout time is 10 a.m. No loud music and no pets. You got one a couple weeks back and used it for coffee. It's just, I don't want to do anything with it. I kind of just want to enjoy having it as a collectible. Oh, speaking of which, while I'm doing some checkoffs here, thermos guy. Oh, actually, while we're here, let's go ahead and read some reviews of the Majestic, because apparently some people decided to visit here in the past and left a few choice words about the hospitality here. Come on, are you gonna load? There we go. Alrighties, we have the Majestic Motel. Locations in Bright Falls, Watery, Sparkling River, Cauldron Lake, Ring Cove Point, Mirror Peak in the Coal Mine area. Southeast Cliff, Majestic Motel, Sweet Rose Shack, the Old Mill. So these are all over the place. There's a crap ton of Majestics. Office hours, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, description by the owner. Just down the road on Highway 509 near the Old Metal Bridge, the Majestic Motel combines easy road access with the beauty of the mountains. Comfortable beds, clean rooms, and wireless internet. Laundry facilities, watch machine number 3 as it clogs, free cable, TV, and a kitchenette in every room. Inexpensive with friendly staff, monthly rates available. Call 555-8923. All right, so let's look at a few reviews. The total, this thing has 2 paws out of bear paws out of 5 as a motel. One of them is from Big Mother Trucker, is his username. He gave it a 1 paw out of 5, and he put it in on November 12th, 2003. And this is how I know that David was the one who wrote this. Or a lot of the survival guide, you really have to pay attention to like European versus American stuff. The dates are formatted in the Western way. Versus having it month, day, year, it's day, month, year. So you can delineate through context clues like that, which was written by Remedy staff and which was written by a third party. But anyways. So, always a good time if you score before you get here. A lot of lizards are cheap, but ain't much to look at. No food and nowhere to buy none. Usually stay in the parking lot. Staff are what you'd expect. Out to make a buck. Always a good time if you score before you get here. Okay, so if he's a trucker, this isn't a trucker rest stop, so I don't know what kind of fun he's getting into. All right, 3 positive 5 for Ernest Storm. This is on March 29th, 2005. The place seems to have improved under new management, with the rooms tidy and a real sense of bringing the Majestic back from its faded glory. One problem that can't be overlooked is the road noise, and with all the spectacular scenery, I expected a better view than a parking lot. And then C-Stew23, 9/15/2009. The Majestic Motel, yes, apparently it is spelled with 2 of them. Yeah, I guess they messed up, but 2 L's in there. Is a no frills but extremely pleasant place, a little remote and with little to disturb you except for the incessant trucks hurtling up Highway 509. We're trying to wake him now, yes, but it's not going to be easy for those on a budget. Wait, what? I think C-Stew23 wrote, there's a little remote and with nothing to disturb you except for the incessant trucks hurtling up the Highway 509 for those on a budget. What do you mean we're trying to wake him now? Yes, but it is not going to be easy. What's that about? Who are you trying to wake up? And who are you? What's the circumstances here? And granted, this review came in 2009, so this was roughly a year before the events of Alan Wake. Ah, C. Stewart, Clay Stewart. Okay, but even with that, he would have been here a year before the events of the game. And according to... I didn't catch... You know what? That's a good catch, guys. I did not pick up on this. The only problem I have with that is Clay had never been to Bright Falls or even know what it was before the events of the game. C-Stew23, Majestic Review, Clay Stewart Review. So I don't know if there's a timeline issue here, but we know that Stewart did show up after the events, which happened in, I believe, September of 2010, and then Stewart showed up shortly after that, so it would have been the end of 2010 when he arrived here. But the Alan Wake files written by Clay Stewart, this right here, officially state he was unaware of Bright Falls or the region until after this event. Huh. I'm going to have to think on this, because that would make perfect sense, but why Stewart would say we're trying to wake him now, but it's not going to be easy? Unless this review was left retroactively. Like something happened in the future and then it got tagged and dated previously. Okay. I'll think on this. I'll talk to the Discord community and see if we can riddle something out. Anyways, let's head back on in. Let's head back on into the game. Oh, not much, Draco. We've just been reading reviews for the Majestic. Okay. Ooh, hello there, shoddy. You know what? Let's keep the pump action. It's going to be a little bit easier. Actually, yeah, let's keep the pump action. Hello there, coffee thermos. I'm sorry, this is a little gross. You leave your drinkable item right next to your toilet. At least there's a cap on top of it, so it's not going to get gross. Alright, let's head back over and take a look at some coffee thermos stuff. Okay. Let me back out, zoom out just a little bit. This is going to be on page 208. There we go. Felt unwell, had to sit down, used the reception restroom of the Majestic Motel, and of course, I found one of them. Saw a light and stardust on my hand again. Obviously stress-induced. Torrance texted me from Portland today and told me I'd be back in the fold soon. Thank God. Went to bed with my head spinning. That soon he'll be back in the fold. What does that mean, Torrance? Danny? Hey, take it easy, Wimby. See you next time.
The Poet and the Muse, lyrics by old gods of Asgard. The first verse. There's an old tale wrought with mystery of Tom the Poet and his muse, and a magic lake which gave a life to the words the poet used. Now the muse she was his happiness, and he rhymed about her grace, and told her stories of treasures deep beneath the blackened waves, till in the stillness of one dawn, still in its misty crown, the muse she went down to the lake, and in the waves she drowned.
Yeah, I agree, Darkanoid. I'd be very worried if I was the Thermos guy. Because, like, he has every red flag. He has every death flag circling him right now, and it is kind of scary, I'm not going to lie. Especially if everybody you know, the only lifeline... Because we got to put ourselves in his headspace. He is by himself. He's running around on his own. Occasionally he meets up with other FBI investigators to, like, do forensics at a scene. But for the most part, he's on his own with his own thoughts, and his only lifelines to reality is Torrance and Cooper. And both of them start saying weird shit that kind of imply his card's about to be punched. All right, room number 2 of the Majestic. So he's got photos of Pat Maine, Barry Wheeler, Randolph. We got photos of Hartman right there. There's Rose. And all of these pictures are the ones that Clay Stewart used in the Alan Wake files. That's why we see the exact same ones.
This had obviously been the room where Agent Nightingale had stayed when he hadn't been busy harassing me.
You got the beer all over the place. He left some flashbangs. I'll take you. Crumpled up beers, wine bottles. He was having a bad time. All right, so here's the cool part up here is at the beginning of the Alan Wake files, Clay confirmed that the wall cooler, there was a bunch of, there's a dossier that Nightingale had that was hidden inside the vent. So Clay literally opened up this vent and you can see it right there, all the information that Clay Stewart found. And that's what we've been reading throughout the whole thing. So yeah, this room is completely optional. You can skip right by this. I find it absolutely incredible that's such an important location, not just to the game itself, to the character of Nightingale, but also to Clay Stewart and the entire Alan Wake files. Can be completely missed. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and read something while we are here, because there's a lot of information that Stewart came across while doing the research. And let's read a police report that just so happens to be included. Right here. Alright, so that's the Freedom of Information Act that Clay did to the FBI, and they rejected him. But this is a police report taken... Let's see if we have a date. I don't think we have a date on this. The reporting officer was Deputy Mulligan, so... Okay. So, Mulligan got called out on a domestic disturbance in 1131 at 1:33 a.m., and the location was 34 Redwood Place. The persons involved was Andrew and Sarah Davis. Now, if the last name sounds familiar, that's because there was a Davis in the sequel that had some weird stuff happen to her as well. She kind of got written into a death scene. And Pat Maine didn't believe it. Yes, Wendy Davis, exactly. Now, if there is any relation, or if it's just a common last name, no idea. Just a thing. The date says redacted. Oh, that is true. You know what? Let me go ahead and just type that in. Police report on domestic disturbance has date redacted. So it looks like this is an 8, so at the very least this is in August, but the year, no idea. Or maybe this is like the 8th day of the month. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. All right. Origin: the 911 call originated from Mrs. Janet Shore of 28 Redwood Place, neighbor of Andrew and Sarah Davis. Mrs. Shore reported shouting and smashing sounds, including breaking glass. Investigation. Officers responded to the distress call logged at 1:33 a.m. from Mrs. Shore. Officers forced their way into the residence at 34 Redwood Place. After repeated attempts to speak to the occupants were met with silence. The house turned out to be unoccupied, but the major physical damage to the interior, Deputy Mulligan interviewed the caller, Mrs. Shore, who insisted there had been no history of domestic violence at the Davis residence. Nice young couple. They hadn't informed any neighbors of any travel plans, and after midnight it is an unusual time to run errands, so the Davises are now considered missing persons, with a likelihood of foul play. The physical evidence is puzzling. There was significant damage inside the home, but it seemed to emanate from certain points in the room. The furniture in the main room was smashed against the perimeter, as though there was a centrifugal force in the center, spinning everything outward. So this is basically a tornado opened up inside the house. The lab is investigating a black soot-like substance found in small traces at the scene. No evidence of incendiary devices and no other suggestions of attempted arson. The power outage at the house is another anomaly. No other houses in the neighborhood were affected. Missing persons profile. Married couple, both white, early 30s, both medium builds. Wife wears a lot of black, according to witnesses. Not sure of significance of remark. The husband worked in insurance. The wife had an internet-based home business, and according to the neighbors, and no known enemies, no dangerous habits, both read a lot of mystery fiction. Stayed at home and led quiet lives. So I'm curious if their mystery fiction contributed to what happened here, or they literally became the subject of a mystery. Yeah, a tornado at this time of year localized entirely in one house's living room? Kind of crazy. A poltergeist got them. It'd be more the tornadoes. Because the poltergeist would be, because they mentioned that it's circling around a centrifugal force, it implies, yeah, it was the tornado. But I'm curious if their mystery fiction ultimately is what caused this manifestation to occur. Their tornado is the dark presence. I mean, in the context of departure, yes, but there can also be tornadoes caused by other things. Still through the dark place, but again, we don't have enough information to say dark presence was involved. It seems kind of below its pay grade. Yeah, why was their mystery fiction lore relevant to the investigation? No idea. But because they mentioned it, I'm going to presume it's relevant. Anyways, let's head back on in. Correct, Marama. Every time Alan sees the tornado, he calls it the dark presence. That's within departure. But these things happened before Alan got... presumably before Alan got here. So before departure was written. And it doesn't necessarily mean... I mean, we've had these kind of tornado-based things going back to the beginning of the 20th century, like 1910s and 1920s. I mean, it's easy to presume that it is the Dark Presence as well, but there's nothing to say 100% that every tornado has to be this entity made manifest. Alrighties. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I just dropped my controller. Come on, controller, where are you? Okay, let's see if there's anything else we gotta read before we leave this area. Alright, so this is in the Alan Wake files. Clay claims that he tried to get a hold of Dr. Hartman in the aftermath of these events, but Hartman was non-responsive. Makes perfect sense. Also in the Alan Wake files, it states that some of the power drew him here and it nearly destroyed his personal life. So this is Clay Stewart speaking, that he was drawn here into town and it nearly destroyed him. He wonders if the same power is what drew Nightingale to this place. And again, the reason why... I don't know if we already read this. I think we did at the beginning of the run-through, but... Clay Stewart started having these nightmares and became distant from his family. Because, again, he's married and has a son. And it got to the point where he planned to come to Bright Falls in order to investigate this whole thing and get the nightmares to stop. And his wife flat out told him, like, hey, if you go, we are not going to be here when you get back. So Clay's decision to come to Bright Falls and look into Alan's disappearance literally is costing him his marriage and his relationship with his son. And that's what he means by it nearly destroyed his life. But he came here anyway. And he's curious if Nightingale was drawn by the same kind of dreams and the same type of machinations that he was. Alright, real quick guys, I need to be right back. I'm going to go let Zoe back inside the house because she did need to go out and I need to refresh my coffee. So I will be right back. Alright, we are back. Okay, so there is a few more things we're going to do before we start heading out. So in the survival guide, it claims that Clay Stewart left a help wanted signed card at the Oh Dear Diner in the hopes that some of the townspeople would contact him while he was staying at the Majestic. So he was just like, hey, anybody knows anything? I'll leave this here at the diner. Give me a call. Fair. Okay. Oh, Zoe, and she's already, she's only been inside for 10 seconds. She's already trying to jump in front of the monitor. In the survival guide, it also claims that the staff that of the Majestic was taken. And most likely those two taken we just killed are the staff and the owner and operators of the Majestic Motel. Hold on, guys. Sorry, I got her in my lap, and I'm giving her some good love. She's been outside for a couple hours. So, she needs some attention. I love you, sweet girl. Alright. Whoa. Whoa. Stop. Slow down. No, kitty. No, kitty. Come on. There we go. Alright. So there was an error in the game, or in the survival guide. So I do want to mention that anything in this is not to be considered 100% canon, but it's very interesting and it shows intention. But this is probably an error on David Hodgson's part, but he claims, or they make a comment that Alan claims that the tan sedan that we're driving right now reminds him of the very same one that his father drove during the 70s. The problem is Alan never knew his dad, so the reason he would have that memory makes zero sense within the context of the game. So most likely it's a complete error. And the only possible thing I can think of is it's a tan sedan that his dad left with Linda, Alan's mother, and he just knew, oh, my dad at one point owned this vehicle. And, like, that's literally all I can figure, but it just seems so that I don't trust that piece of information, to be 100% honest. Zoe, you can sit on my lap. You don't need to sit on my notes. Ow. Death rally time. Hit that ramp like crazy. Ow. Okay, hold on. Zoe, I love how she sits right on top of my notes and looks at me like, yeah, what you gonna do? Maybe a family photo. And again, I'm not gonna try to rationalize it too much, simply because it's solely in the survival guide, and therefore... Cat? Oh, she's literally sitting on the keyboard. Shit. There we go. That's why it wasn't working. Like, I love you, sweetheart, but I don't want you to accidentally stop stream. Which you have done that before. Okay. Alright, let's get going. Screw you. Oh, jeez. Okay, there's way too many poltergeists out here right now. Have you tried removing your cat? I'm not gonna do that. She owns this house. I merely pay the bills. Okay, let's go on and head on across. Where? There you are. There's one. Because as the saying goes, cats do not have owners, they have servants. You know what? That tire does not want to be around me. I'm just going to let it do its thing. Got this. Boom. No more of those. Oh, jeez. You know what? You just go down there and leave me be. Oh my god, it's a possessed refrigerator. Where have I seen this before? Ow. Is that you, Former? No. Because it didn't just kill me because I wasn't looking at it. Come on. We're good. Shoot. Oh, jeez. Oh! Did I just have my first death of the run? Because of a freaking refrigerator? Oh, it's on. That pisses me. I've never fallen off this bridge ever. I should have just tanked it to the face. When was the first time I died? I don't remember dying the first time. What happened?
What the hell?
Alright, let's get out of here. Oh, that's right. Zoe pushed me off a cliff in episode 1. At the very beginning of the game, too. Literally in the intro. She literally knocked me off the cliffside. This time I cannot blame her for that. That was entirely the refrigerator. Okay, let's just get across and get away from all these life-threatening things. I'll accept the tank to the face. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. Yeah, this area would not be too bad with all the poltergeists here if it was not for that. Now, the reason there's the fact there's a lot of poltergeists here on the bridge makes me wonder if there's any stories about this bridge, like ghost stories or something like that, because it makes sense in the ghost town for there to be poltergeist because people probably say it's haunted by the miners. The locals probably believe this, so that makes perfect sense. But this bridge, who knows? I mean, I know in the town I live in, there's some urban legends about some of the bridges like this. Legit, like, deaths related to it and stuff like that. Please don't hit me. Ah, you dick. Dodge. So because I can dodge a wrench, I can dodge this thing. Apparently I can't dodge a wrench. I have never once died on this bridge before. I've been playing this game for 16 years, and this has never happened to me. You know what? I'm just... Oh my god. Oh my god. What is happening to me right now? I suddenly lost the ability to play this game. I agree. I think Zoe cursed the game because I was not giving her as much attention as she deserves. Alright. We have flare guns and we have flashbangs. I'm just gonna abuse my resources. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
What the hell?
Take it out, take it out. Don't let it hit you, don't let it hit you. Okay, you know what? Good enough. I'll take it. There's gonna be 2, and then we're gonna run across. Okay, let's recharge our battery real quick while I sip some coffee. There's your good kitty. Okay. Recharged enough. You're gonna hit me, and that's fine. No, you're not gonna hit me, and that's also fine. Ow. Ow. Good. Where's the other tire? Maybe it fell below us? I think it fell below us. Actually, now that I think about it, let me look at the map real quick, because I need to check a detail. Give me a second. Because, okay, so Alan left power, the Bright Falls Dam, presumably going down this road. And we're about to get to the Southeast Cliff Ghost Town, so most likely right here. Okay. Based upon the Majestic information, we're on highway... There's Majestic. We're crossing this river. So this is the river we're crossing, and no, it's not really a direct offshoot of Cauldron Lake. I was just checking to see if this was, like, one of these rivers. Like, this is a Black River. And any water source that's offshoot from Cauldron Lake, it technically contains part of its energy and its power. But I think this is pretty far removed. To the point where it's probably not going to have lingering effects, which would cause the poltergeist to show up. Anyways, sorry. Just a random thought I had while I was looking down. You don't know where it was, but you've read somewhere about deaths or accidents happening in this specific bridge before? Oh, you mean in-game? Interesting. I don't recall that, but it would not surprise me. Alright, we just need to burn this down faster, because it's knocking out the ground. Yeah. Fuck you.
Nice to see you, too.
That's what you get for fucking with me. Oh, sorry, no. This is the tan sedan that Alan mentioned. He thinks his father... He has a memory of his father driving. But again, there's no reason for that to be a memory of his, so I'm going to ignore that. Boom. Because I love how he said, oh, the tan sedan, and then I was pointing at literally an SUV, or SUV, which makes no sense. Come on, there we go. And kaboom, and a kaboom. Let's get out of here. And now we're officially in the death rally area. Literally, it's a death rally! Shit! Ow, 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 ow. And of course there's a burning bus in here for some reason, and a burning ship. Or not a burning ship, but just a ship that got thrown. Alright. That's right. I'm just taking you out. I don't want to deal with this shit. Oh shit, is something attacking me? Come on, just get rid of it. This bus was originally used in the forest fire level. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. So the tornadoes that are coming out of the lake are definitely dropping a lot of stuff in this region. The Quantum Break novel The Taxi is this car too. Also in Link in my video, you'll film it's just Sam Lake's car or his favorite car. You know what? Makes sense. Makes sense. If you think about it, Sam is Alan's father. Alright, so we got the ship, we got what looks like a plane fuselage, and the burning school bus. I'm running low on ammunition, though. We need to slow this down. I've kind of burned through a lot of my resources.
The Poet and the Muse, lyrics by Old Gods of Asgard, the second verse. The poet came down to the lake to call out to his dear. When there was no answer, he was overcome with fear. He searched in vain for his treasure lost, and too soon the night would fall. Only his own echo would wail back at his call. And when he swore to bring back his love by stories he'd create, nightmares shifted in their sleep in the darkness of the lake.
Yeah, a lot of these at least further on in the game, the Nightmare manuscripts are just song lyrics, but in the first, I want to say 3 or 4 chapters, they were new story pieces, so that's fine. Alright, and this is a fun little lore detail according to the survival guide. Apparently, it's actually Bright Falls ordinance that if you find a work truck or any vehicles where the interior lights are turned on and known as present, can be legally commandeered by any citizen. And this is literally the game's way of explaining why Alan is just stealing all these vehicles. Because he's legally allowed to do so, because it is an emergency. Alright, before we do anything else, let's grab this thermos and take a look. Let me grab that. And jump back in and get running. Get out of here. Move. Wait, no. That is a dead end, and I am about to go off of a cliff. So let's get out of this Death Rally region and just get running. Oh god, those things are going to follow me all the way up. You know what, just because for the fun of it, let's take the tan sedan instead. People leave cars unlocked for people to escape bears in bear country. You know what, makes sense. I'm trying to get to safety first before we do this. Okay, now let's go ahead and read this. Boom and boom. Okay, so this is going to be on page 212. Alrighties. Couldn't believe the strange wreckage along the highway. The top field on the porch steps of the farmer's cottage after the garage barn. Felt numb, though, emotionally. Asked Cooper and Torrance for some help. Haven't heard back from them. Tried calling, but the line was bad. Cooper could not hear me. Things are just going from bad to worse. Something's interfering with the signal. You know what? I'm fine with that. Just throw yourself off the cliff. What's up, Cat's Creek? Welcome on in. Alright, now we got one of the tougher battles of the game. Whoa, where did you come from? I was looking around. I heard the sound. I don't think it's going to come up. Okay, how much we got? We got 7 shots of the rifle. You know, let's hold. We have, like, no ammo, guys. You know what? Let's take the pump action just because it's going to give us more ammunition. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the tougher battles in the game. Okay, first things first. Shit! There we go. Beautiful. 3 down. And I have no pistol ammo. And I have pistol ammo. Come on. Good enough. Oh, you dick. I didn't even see you. Nope, I don't want to waste ammo like that. He's too far away. Shit. Oh my leg. Don't like you. Get over here. Okay, we're good. Oh, I hit the dodge button, you jerk. Okay. Think we're okay. Let's keep the flares on just in case. What the hell did you just do, Alan? Okay, we're good. We're safe. Let's move on.
The bottom of Cauldron Lake was a graveyard of things the lake had claimed in one way or another over the decades. The dark presence brought them up in its wake, scattering the rotten waterlogged hull of an old boat here, the remains of a long-ago crashed airplane there, trees shattered under the impacts. The earth groaned. It didn't even notice.
Alrighties, let's get going. Ammo, 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 batteries, and look, a vehicle with the lights turned on. We can legally steal it. The voice of Alan's a little low. I mean, it's always a little bit low. Like, how is it in terms of the game next to me? Or is it just his narration that's low? Well, I just made a few adjustments. Just let me know if that works fine or if my voice is now below the game. No, don't get out of that. Oh, it's the narration only? Gotcha. Alright, let me know if I need to switch it back. I mean, what I could probably do is turn the music down a little bit, turn the cinematic down a hair, but let's say music and effects, but keep the speech volume up. That may compensate a little bit on it. I just wish you were able to tell what audio sources came from which of those, because when we were turning down like the effects, or one, for example, it turned down for the TV show. We're watching Night Springs, we turned down something, and it actually, the background sounds of the TV show went down, but the voices stayed good. I don't know, I guess I wish they were more clear on some things. Alright, before we head up, we gotta go grab our last little manuscript down in the area. Ooh. And up here we have a cave-in. Unused region of the map. This led to an area called the Drylands. Good to know.
In the end, Barry wasn't going to shoot Sarah. They both knew that. Once she had no chance of catching up to Wake, Barry gave up the gun and sat down on the floor, shielding his face from the merciless glare of the well-lit room. "I don't think I'm ever going to see him again," he said in a weak voice. Sarah didn't have it in her to be mad at him. Besides, he was probably right.
And as far as up until where we currently are in the story, Barry still has not seen him. And this also confirms, yeah, that Sarah knew he wasn't going to shoot, so it didn't really matter. But we don't know what happened after 2023, so... Because as soon as Alan Wake 2 ends, we don't get any information of what happened after. Hopefully they mention it a little bit in Resident, but I seriously doubt it. Unless he saw him after joining the cult. I mean, there's potential... Like, I don't think Alan would have haunted Barry the way he haunted Alice in Initiation, but who knows. Think we'll see Buff Barry? Dude, I don't know. I'm curious what they're gonna do. They're gonna literally make him a freaking beef. He's just gonna be all like, yeah, I've been to the gym, I'm jacked now. And I think that's the developer's way of recasting him without worrying about it. Come on. Can I read this? Oh, no, that's the thing I read. Alright, Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 p.m. Trespassers will be prosecuted, solicitors will be shot. See the yard manager. Larsen's Auto Salvage. Oh boy, we are heading into some enemy territory now. I think the VA would now play him fully, which is like the way they mentioned him losing weight. Dude, if they get the original VA and he does the mocap also, that'd be freaking awesome. Barry going full Chris Redfield? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. As long as he doesn't punch a boulder, we're good. All visitors must see the yard manager. You must sign a liability waiver before entering the yard. If you're looking for a specific part, ask for it first. For you pull it, you must bring your own tools. Wear protective clothing. Warning, junk piles may shift. Hazardous area. Alrighty, so let me check off a few things. And for those who haven't already seen my video on it, we're going to have a fun time here in Larsen's. Joe Pesci for real life Barry, oh dear. Oh dear. Where'd you come from? Anybody else? Nope, we got two. We do have two. Nope, nope. Oh my lord, leave me alone. There we go. Alright, we're good. Boom, flashbangs, 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 bing, flares, and we are good. Let's go ahead and read what we got here. Okay, what page was this on? Where did I miss this? Oh yeah, this is actually way ahead of where I planned to be looking at first. It's further down my notes. The writer Alan Wake once said, "There's light and there's darkness, cause and effect, there's guilt and there's atonement. but the scales always need a balance. Everything has a price. I tip the scales in your favor under the roof of the wall-less barn, behind the scrapyard garage. Okay, Cynthia, how because the game flat out says this is Cynthia writing these. How do you know lines of dialogue that Alan wrote before he wrote them? Because this is information that happened after Alan entered the dark place. Now we're getting a little weird here, too. She read the first draft? Well, I mean, this was here before we got to the remastered second edition. Oh, kitty, what are you doing? What are you doing, kitty? Okay, let me just move the mouse so you don't step on it. Alright, let's head inside the building to go see the yard manager. I have a theory about how Cynthia knows this, but I'm not going to say anything until we get a little further into the game and we get to the last of the hidden caches. You know, if you weren't walking so loudly, you probably would fare better. Shit! Okay, that was not a well-timed one. Yeah, let's switch over. Because the rifle is better for DPS. And it gives us better range. What do you mean? We've gotten all the pages. There's still a few more we have to get, but Sudoku Dragon, we did get all the pages. That we can up until this point. Alright, coffee thermos. Okay, stumbled inside the yard manager's garage and office and found it on the ground floor metal shelving. Then I checked the map. Not far now. Not far now until I'm done. More weirdness. Torrance calls. I answer the phone and he can't hear me. I heard him asking someone why the number's been disconnected. Can't get email, text, or phone messages now. Our thermos guy's phone has been disconnected by somebody. He's legitimately, officially, on his own now. Dude, enter the Twilight Zone. Pretty much. Pretty much. Hotham Natural Gas Certified Dealer.
The Poet and the Muse, lyrics by Old Gods of Asgard, the third verse. In the dead of night she came to him with darkness in her eyes, wearing a morning gown, sweet words as her disguise. He took her in without a word, for he saw his grave mistake, and vowed them both to silence deep beneath the lake. Now, if it's real or just a dream, one mystery remains. For it is said on moonless nights they may still haunt this place.
What happened? Forest Leaves? Oh, the Thermos, the most recent Thermos lore. Torrance called the FBI Thermos guy, whose name is not Bill Nye. Sorry, I had to keep the alliteration going. Couldn't hear him, and then asks why the phone number has been disconnected. So from now on forward, he has nothing, no contact to anybody. Ruh-roh. More can pyramids. Alright, Mott, what do you have to say here? Okay, departure, nope. Can do attitude, last one. Keep Keeping the mind active, the cleverest of swerves, hatred and pity, powerful emotions. The cans helped with the aiming to no end. Last one was on the deck attached to the scrapyard garage. But no more games now. Weird. I believe this is intended to imply that at the very end, all Mott holds on to is his hatred. And at this point, he's taken. Oh, well, Marama, it's confirmed that all these cans were placed before Mott got taken, or maybe these cans were put here by Alan and it claimed that Mott put them here. But he reads like a taken, exactly, for this last one. But it could just be that, like with the thermoses, that Alan thinks he's putting the thermoses on in the path himself. It's possible Alan was putting the cans there himself, and within the story he claims it was Mott. And these texts were literally more getting into the headspace of Mott as he went through the story. But anyways. Alrighties. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Because we are about to go back into the survival guide. All the way back to page 10. And we have an advertisement for Larsen's Auto Salvage. So according to the survival guide, the yard manager was taken, but the yard officer is a different person entirely. So let's go ahead and read Larsen's Auto Salvage. Alright. Which car is right for you? Container Yard Officer Todd Bennington is here to help. It's hard to pick a winner from our vehicles, but personally, I love the military off-roaders, quick turns, and speed. The more crazy boat-like controls of the tan sedan make skidding more fun, if a little out of control. But whatever car you try, make sure the interior lights are on before you joyride. Again, because it's legal for you to grab it. You'll get a great deal here at Larsen's Auto Salvage, I guarantee it. Larsen's the cheapest cars and junk since 1970, the same year that Tom the Poet vanished from reality. Highway 509 near Junction 91A, foot of the Southeast Cliffs ghost town. So we have the Bright Falls Light and Power pickup. Great general purpose vehicles. These pickups are part of a recently released fleet from the discussed Bright Falls power plant north of town. They're fast, good enough in steering and durability. So most likely, since the Bright Falls power plant shut down, they got a lot of the old fleet vehicles. The Jupiter Summit, a modern SUV in every sense of the word. Featuring, as all our vehicles do, high beam lights and dazzling when they cut through the dark protection, and a hood to withstand at least 6 human-sized bodies. Wait, what? When you're trying to sell a vehicle, do you tell your customers how many human bodies you can ram into before the front bumper breaks off? Just a little weird. Anyways, let's go to the military-style off-roader. Do you crave a more boxy ride with tighter cornering and rapid skid that you could easily drive off? Then test drive the classic off-roader today. Arguably the best. The tan sedan, a classic vehicle, this 1970 model, again 1970, is available in one color and features decent acceleration and some wild fishtail-prone turns. If you want to hit Taken using luck rather than skill, try this out. Wait, as a customer, sir, what's a Taken? I mean, I'm just asking. I have no clue what that happens to be. Now we have the Hill Scrambler SUV. An oldie but a goodie, although it may not accelerate with the best of them, this crawls up hills and dogged determination. It's a little unwieldy, but it gets the job done. And then Walter's pickup. Remember when I said that Larsen ended up grabbing Walter's vehicle? Well, here it is. I thought we left this right outside the Anderson farm when we stole it. One careful owner, full service records used primarily to drive from the Anderson farm. Local commuter, very similar to Bright Falls Light and Power pickup, but with a few more dents. And we caused those dents. I'm sorry. That's our fault. Aw, what's that, sweetheart? You're a good girl. Good girl. All right. Now, as with anything, you want to make sure you read the terms and conditions and the fine print before you sign any contract, okay? Just make sure. So let's zoom in on the terms and conditions. Guarantees are not guaranteed. Finance offer is subject to normal lending criteria. All deals are final. The vehicle models shown here are not necessarily the ones for sale. Alterations may have been made. Vehicles not guaranteed to be roadworthy. Well, that's what I want to know before I buy a vehicle. Most vehicles have radiator and or hood damage, scuff marks, matted pieces of gray hair, shreds of clothing, and other marks, hereinafter known as improvements. So you have body parts stuck in the hood, and you call them improvements. Okay. Vehicle registration not included. Mileage subject to change. We cannot guarantee accuracy, completeness, reliability, or timeliness in any part of these sales. Searchers after horror haunt strange, far places. Sorry, I gotta say that a little differently. Searchers after horror haunt strange, far places. You gotta sound like Fra. Because that is definitely loose association speech right there. Todd Bennington does not actually work for this company. Yeah, great old one. Any information collected may be used and sold to our agents and partners. APR 5.5% raises to 70.5% after 3 days. You are liable for any improvements to the vehicle. Your assets, not limited to but including other vehicles, house, significant other, and soul, are forfeit if payments are not kept up. Customer service department is open from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Tuesday through Wednesday every third week of May. So, essentially, Todd Bennington, who doesn't actually work for this company, but apparently is the yard officer, will trap you in a loan that you cannot pay off, and the second you default on your loan, he can claim your soul. Who the hell is this guy? We literally have an eldritch deity stealing souls in Bright Falls, and the game doesn't tell you about it unless you have the strategy guide. We don't know what he does with the souls. Now, one hypothesis I have seen in the aftermath of me releasing the video on this is that he traps people within the Death Rally universe. Hence why he's so obsessed with vehicles. Is that the souls in this Death Rally vehicle universe are there solely because Todd Bennington stole them. And one of the pieces of information that may tie into that is because True Tom Reimer is the voice on the radio for the driver in Death Rally, and Thomas the Rhymer, aka Tom the Poet, vanished in 1970 as well. And if I know that in the This House of Dreams blog, they flat out say that the essence of Thomas went into a baby universe with Barbara and they lived happily ever after, so to speak. But let's remember that Alan exists in multiple dimensions right now. Canonically speaking. Because he at one point entered the dark place, he's always going to exist in the dark place because time is weird there. Because he left the dark place, at least that's what we're told at the end of Return, he exists in reality. He also exists in the Dead by Daylight universe, and an aspect of himself is trapped there permanently. And there's also, I hate to say it, because I refuse to accept this as canon, but Fortnite universe. It's a thing. So there's an aspect of Alan that's stuck there. So would it be so out of the question that there are multiple versions of Zane trapped all over the multiverse? Phasmophobia, yeah, Phasmophobia too. But we don't see Alan actually getting out into the Phasmophobia universe. More, he was writing something that affected the Phasmophobia universe. But we don't see him physically in there, so meh. But I kind of think it'd be really fun if the Death Rally universe was caused because Todd Bennington stole the souls and then trapped them because of all his fan of vehicles here inside that universe. That'd be really cool. At least as a way to explain how it's connected to the rest of the world. Anyways, but besides Larsen's, we also have Gundersons. Are full, and Gunderson is the descendant of one of the two original founders of Bright Falls. Our full line of Ford and Lincoln models are available to test drive. Consult Amos, son of a Gunderson, for an online negotiation that's always in your favor. And this is based out of Watery. Now, Amos is also the name. Amos Gunderson was one of the two founders. This is probably just like a family name. But it would be kind of weird if this was the original Amos Gunderson. He just became immortal somehow. Now, again, there's no evidence for that, but that'd be kind of funny. Now, the reason it's in Watery, we know that Barry Wheeler rented this one right here when he got into town. And the reason he rented something from Watery and not from Bright Falls was because the airport is located in Watery. Where is it? There's an airport somewhere around here. I think it's mentioned in one of the survival guide sections. So as a result, we know for a fact that Barry is safe. His soul is not being stolen by Todd Bennington because he ordered from Gunderson's. Our boy's safe. All right. So the Lincoln MKT. Quick and nimble with a good turning circle and little body roller sway. Three-row luxury crossovers. Explore the unparalleled luxury of MKT. Panorama Vista View. Drive one today. Ford F-150. Prize of the Elderwood Forest Service. This big boy's a true monster. One left. No. Cat. You do not need to be drinking out of my coffee mug. We do not need to see you on that. You and caffeine, you're crazy enough as it is. Okay, sorry, one left. It's not just a pickup truck. Built Ford tough. It slams through strange gray woodsmen with ease. Impressive power. What, Gunderson, why are you saying that? Why are you saying it slams through woodsmen? You're not allowed to have that. She was stealing my water this morning. She literally went to my water glass. Come on. Hey, you're not allowed to have that. Anyways. So yeah, we're literally sitting here wandering through a place that an eldritch demon that has been stealing souls resides. Well, let's head inside. Ow. Hold on, let me check you off. Zoe, what are you doing? It's a knockoff Calypso? I mean, fair. Oh, wait, shoot. I didn't even open the gate. I did the whole circle, but I never opened the gate. I guess we're heading right back in. And so the Todd Bennington character is one of the other demonic characters. And I'm just using that term loosely. It's one of those characters that we see in the game. That's in this story, but we don't see it in the game. But there are others. Beautiful, let's get out of here. I hear your footsteps, and I don't want to be around you right now. Alright. Can you guys get out of my way? Oh, that is not the position you want to be in, buddy. You are dumb. Never get behind a vehicle. Hey, look, we got some new improvements on our truck. Double tap. Always gotta be sure. Alright. Let's head on through the junk. There's something in here. Maybe there's not. Okay, maybe it's a little further in. How big was the game supposed to be originally? The entire town was supposed to be playable. It was the game was designed as an open world game. And eventually they Remedy determined that it kind of interfered with being able to tell a concise story. So they basically made it so you could not access most of the game world. Maybe there's a slide projector in there. Oh gosh, don't even go there. Boom, thermos. Let's take a look. Now officially our thermos guy is no longer in contact because his number has been disconnected. Page 216. Boom. Scrambled up to the ramp near the scrapyard crane base. Found a thermos on a pallet, stack near the storage overhang. Woke up a few hours later. My hands tingled. Strange dream. I was flying up away from my body, into the darkness. No vehicles. And head office has sent everyone over to Watery. It sucks to be me. Currently. Poor guy. All right, let's head on in officially. Out-of-body experience? Yeah, pretty much. I'm not sure about the last word there. He's saying it sucks to be me. Currently, that is. Yeah, we got some fire up there and all sorts of other stuff. How much? We got 5. And no, we got lots of those. We're good. Flashbangs are great.
Zane cut its heart out, but it didn't die. The thing that wore Barbara's face kept crooning sweet nothings sugar-laced with poison. He put on the suit, untied the monster from the chair. The thing in his arms thrashed weakly, but he held fast. He stepped outside, off the pier, and into the dark water. A sinking pinprick of light descending toward a bottom that never came.
Mm-hmm. And something came up to meet them. Things of darkness, the things of light as well. But we'll follow more on that when we talk about Samantha Wells. Alright, before we go ahead and activate this, we do have to take a quick pause and head over to the Alan Wake files because we have some more folklore to read. There we go. Hey, Vermin Meads, thank you so much for the donation. You are amazing. Thank you so much. Hope your day is going well. You are incredibly generous. Thank you. Okay, let's head back up to where all of these are. I think it's below. Yep, there we go. So we're going to be reading one called Shadows Everywhere. There we go. Beyond the shores of the lake, other sightings of small, dark creatures go further to confuse the myth. Shadow dogs, dark humanoid shapes, black bird-like creatures, even dark versions of plant life enter into the mix of legends. The strangeness even extends to inanimate objects, rusted cars found in treetops, waterlogged boats in the middle of the woods, too far from the lake to be carried there by humans. There are so many possibilities that it's impossible to nail down one creature or even type of creature that occasionally terrorizes this small town. Officials in law enforcement have traditionally been silent on the issue, but we were able to get an off-the-record quote from one officer on condition of anonymity. "We think the stories are bunk," said the officer said, "but ghost stories have their uses. You know, in my line of work, anything that keeps the kids from getting into trouble at night is a good thing." And this right here, this line, anything that keeps the kids from getting into trouble is a good thing, and they make use of ghost stories in order to do so, sets up the foundation for the Cult of the Tree. Because it was, the Cult of the Tree originally was passed around as an urban legend to keep the kids from running into the forest. And eventually that urban legend came true, kinda, sorta, in the sense that the individuals took advantage of the story and decided to play it up a bit. No, cat. No, cat. Not on top of the keyboard. You can step on that keyboard, that's fine, just not this keyboard. But the unfortunate thing here is, yes, this has social utility. Tell ghost stories to scare the kids to keep them safe. The problem is, because this is Bright Falls and because this is around Cauldron Lake, these ghost stories that they tell to frighten kids become true. Yeah, the Dark Presence took advantage of them by turning them into Taken and thus turning them into murderous cult. Oh, you're talking about the Cult of the Tree, yeah. But they caused these things to actually become real. Zoe, can you get off of my notes? Boom, boom. Alright, let's start it. Yeah, on my end it shows the stream is still up. But, sorry, I looked away from the screen and started failing at the... There we go. And that does make the stories more effective because you're not just making things up, by making things up, you're causing them to become real and therefore serves its purpose. Yeah, something just fell on top of me. Luckily, I missed. It dodged. Or it dodged, yes. The trash dodged from me because, oh lordy lord. Run, 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 and I'm stuck. Get out of here. Ugh. Yeah, trash does not try to attack me. It dodges me because it's afraid. Let's just set this vehicle up right here to protect me. And that did not protect me! That did not work. My hypothesis was valid, and my execution was horrible. All I did was give it a harder surface to ram me into. But then again, all Alan needed to do is get out the other door. Poor vehicle. What's up, Ichiro? I don't know, when did you leave off? We were just passing through Larsen's Auto Salvage, getting ready to head up to the southeast cliff ghost town. Zoe, can I have my notes back? I literally just keep moving it all over my desk, and she just walks to wherever my notes are and sits down on it. You just got on the stream? Oh, okay, yeah, well, we got through most of episode, we're probably like 80% of the way through episode 6. Just getting ready to head up into the ghost town. Nope. And off we go. Now, here's a cool little detail that I recently found out. Shit. Okay, sorry, we gotta move the truck so I can actually access the emergency box. But a detail I literally just found out as when I was replaying through American Nightmare for the first time, I actually played the arcade game.
I told Barry my plan back in the well-lit room. I'd acted as if I knew what I was doing. I didn't. I was operating on the shifting logic of a dream. I had to fight my way to the lake through the horrors of the night. I had to flick an old battered light switch imbued with childhood magic. I had to write a happy ending to a horror story. I had to save my wife from the dark prison she was being held in.
So while I was playing the American Nightmare Arcade, which is kind of like just the arena mode, I've never really spent much time playing that whatsoever, but as I was doing it, I was looking around the town. I was looking at, well, the regions and the level environments. Now, one of the level environments specifically is called Southeast Cliff Ghost Town. So while in the dark place 2 years later, Alan drew upon this town to create the arena for that location, but in that story, it was stuck in the Arizona desert. So it's like Alan picked this whole town up, expanded upon it, added more buildings, added more locations, and then dropped it in the Arizona desert, and then he fought Taken there. Essentially, he had an overlap between this place and then another ghost town in Arizona. Most likely, in reality, that town in Arizona is not actually called this, the Southeast Cliff, but it's similar enough to be a narrative overlap. But we'll talk about that more when we get to playing American Nightmare, because I will play at least one round of each of the arcade games. Likely unintentional, just if you're using assets, yes, but there's also stuff in there that is new as well. But we'll talk about that again when we get to that point. Okay. Page 218, let's do this. Yeah, I guarantee it's just them reusing assets, but narratively speaking, that's fine. Because, I mean, in the graveyard level of American Nightmare, they created a whole new location. It's completely brand new, and there's a title to the graveyard that we don't see anywhere else in the series. Alright, next one from Cynthia. The famous writer Alan Wake once said, "There's a long journey through the night back into the light, but this journey is almost over. For someone. Look for aid inside the shack by the ruined bridge before the ghost town." And again, she's quoting us. Before we actually write that. Cynthia, spoilers! You're spoiling the story for us. What the hell? Alright, before we head inside, according to the survival guide, the ghost town is currently under renovation. They're trying to refurbish it, probably for historical purposes. Fine. And all of the mining equipment in the area was for an old silver mine. So this whole ravine that's going through the mountain here is an old silver mine that's been decommissioned. Let's head on in. But there's also details in the American Nightmare ghost town, such as there's like a hangman's noose in the center of town where criminals would be hung. And that's nowhere near, that's not in this area at all. So they reused some assets, but then added new things into it. Yeah, and there's a lore reason why there's a searchlight in this area. Yep. And that's why I like little things like this, even though technically we shouldn't treat everything in the survival guide as 100% canon, but little details like that really help to explain stuff where it's like, okay, why in the middle of a ghost town do you have modern searchlights that work? Well, this is the reason why. Like these right here, we have Bright Falls Power setting this up. And then same thing up there. Okay, we have 9 shots. You know what? Let's just keep that for now.
I will never give her to you.
No, it would not be an anachronism, Arama, because the ghost... Hold on. Okay, now that it's really loud, how's my voice compared to the game? I just want to make sure before I keep talking. Because I know when the game is like this, it makes it kind of hard to hear me. Okay. I'll wait until we finish Sayer before I start talking about them. And honestly, I forgot what I was going to say, so it's not even relevant. What was I saying right before I interrupted myself? Oh my lord, why didn't you step in front of that? Oh, yeah, so it's not an anachronism, because in the Arizona desert, that would have been a remnant of a town during the frontier era of American history. So yeah, they would still be hanging people at that time. And it's now a ghost town because it's no longer occupied. But it's been sitting there in the Arizona desert uninhabited for a long period of time. Oh my... Sam... Did I just say Sam? No. Alan! Get in the door! There we go. Jesus. Okay, there's absolutely nothing in here, so it didn't even matter. And now we're going through the Holloway and Company. This is a mining, supply, repair, and maintenance shop. And Holloway and Company does appear in the American Nightmare ghost town as well. Oh my god. Alan! Alan! Okay, thermos. Perfect. Let's switch on over. And Zoe, I need my notes back. Thank you. I'm still giving you attention. I don't know why you need to sit on that. All right, page 218. There we go. Yes. It's inside the Holloway and Company building on a shelf in the ghost town. Getting strange hallucinations. Seeing an owl with an outstretched wings. Strange wispy shapes out of the corner of my eye. My vision's going to... Can't see in color anymore. My watch has stopped working. Phone's dead. Can't stay here, though. An owl, you say? Just kind of hanging out there. There's also the owl that's in the writing room in the cabin. So, like, I'm not sure if this is intended to make a Twin Peaks reference about the owls, or because of the pose where the owl has its wings outstretched, this individual is witnessing the interior, or at least having hallucinations from the interior of the writing room. Who knows? And he can no longer see in color, it's only in black and white. Alright, actually let's not unpause it because I'm probably going to get attacked. Okay. Let's go ahead and get through this. In many Native American cultures, owls are symbols of death and bad omens. True. It really depends on what remedy was taking the inspiration for the owls from. Are they taking inspiration from Native American folklore? Are they taking inspiration from Twin Peaks? Are they... Because you could interpret it in many different ways. And the Dark Presence is not happy with this. Oh, shoot! Grab it, grab it, grab it! Oh my god, I'm already screwing this up. I just screwed up this entire section. And I missed. Oh my lord. So I guess we're doing this the hard way. Okay, at least we got some. Okay. You dick! And I missed that one too. Oh my god, I'm literally getting surrounded. That's not good. Get out of here. You, sir, leave me alone. I don't like you. Like, legitimately, I do not like you. You've just been sitting there sniping me this entire time. Alright. And we're basically out of rifle. So let me head back down and pick up that pump action. Just so we can get some more ammunition. But yeah, the renovation... And I can't get back there because the Dark Presence knocked over the tower. Great. But yeah, I'd presume there's some effort right now to refurbish this ghost town so they can start, you know, using it for reasons. Actually, now that I think about it, I have a question. Let me get you guys' opinion on this, because we were talking about Todd Bennington and how he has been claiming souls. Now, what about Project Vanguard? Because there is the Keystone AWE that's mentioned in Control, where an entire town's population just up and vanished. And then the symbol for Vanguard was left on the wall, like some bricks in town when investigators came to look at it. Now, that symbol appears on a door within the Ocean View Motel. And when they talked about Project Vanguard, my presumption was that the people who lived in that town were then spirited away into another universe that would be the Vanguard universe. But they canceled that project. I think that was a project that Remedy was doing at Tencent, and the deal went through and they never moved forward on it. But I'm curious if something similar to like that is Todd Bennington's MO, where he would claim the souls and then transport them to his own universe. It'd be like we have precedent within the RCU established for something like that. Okay.
The dark place I found myself in was unlike anything I could ever have imagined. It wasn't solid. It flowed. It was conceptual and subjective. For someone else, an artist in another field, it would have been very different. I could sense the story of the manuscript all around me, the words and ideas floating in the air, poised to become real.
Words in the air. I don't know, did the stream freeze up for you guys? Because it shows I'm still live, but I want to make sure before I continue on. Fine for you? Okay, perfect. Alright, before we head onwards, there's a couple minor items we need to address on my notes. First and foremost, in Alan Wake Illuminated. Sorry, I heard creaking. I was wondering if Taken was walking up behind us. It confirms that the Dark Place fabricates a reality specific to the individual based upon their unique imagination. So it's very much in the sense of when whoever enters there, the rules, the reality, the physics, all obey the imagination of the individual that's producing that reality. And that manuscript page kind of mentions that a little bit as well. Alright, let's head over and read some more folklore. Alright, so this is going to be the Dark Cloud. So Sasquatch is not the only legendary creature rumored to reside in the area. Everyone has heard of Loch Ness Monster, but fewer people know of our own shadow beast of Cauldron Lake. It has never gained a catchier name than that because people have never agreed on just what it is. What exists in local legend is a string of similar rumors that may or may not be related. One of these legends traces back to 1977, when a young couple engaged in amorous pursuits near the shores of Cauldron Lake was surprised by what appeared to be an inky, dark cloud that floated in the air above the water. This was accompanied by an instant storm-like conditions, though the sky above them was clear and starry. The name of both people were withheld in the press coverage at the time as they were underage, and there was a possible investigation into misdemeanor activities going on. But there were anonymous quotations from both witnesses that dark snake-like tendrils emerged from the cloud, and an unearthly shrieking sound accompanied the storm, sounds that emerged from the floating shape. It was enough to send two half-clad teenagers running away from their clandestine sanctuary and towards their homes. Whether snake-like extensions are related to stories in the 1800s about flying serpents in Utah, an actual thing, go look it up, in other parts of the western United States territories is unknown. But it does disconnect with several other accounts of dark airborne events that have been cited in significant numbers since the mid-1970s. Most likely the old gods had something to do with this one. Because 1970s when Tom disappeared, 1971, 1972 is when the old gods got going, and the mid-70s were their big heyday, so I'm going to blame them for this one. Another particular sighting serves to underscore the contrast and consequent lack of agreement on the legend. In 1975, Ingrid Peterson reported a dark brontosaurus-shaped creature arising from the lake, its neck extending 40 feet above the massive torso. She could not describe details featured, such as eyes or teeth in the creature, but swears it had a tangible fleshy form beyond the nebulous objects, described by the other witnesses. The consistent thread is that this too seemed as though it were made from darkness itself, a darkness so intense that the contrast can be seen even at night. Peterson's account was largely dismissed, however, because of her history of alcoholism. Alright, so I think it's kind of gotten into the collective fandom that everything weird around here happens because of a story or an artist creating something, and a lot of the folklore we're seeing here kind of disproves that. So how I look at this is there's two different types of ways the lake manifests things. An act of art, which is what we see throughout most of the games, but two, urban legends and public consciousness in general. So most likely Miss Peterson knows stories of the Loch Ness Monster, and then the darkness literally shaped itself into what she thought was going on there. So everybody has their own variations of it. Even like stories of a haunted house, for example, would become haunted because of the story, but it's not necessarily it'd become haunted because of the urban legends and folktales, but it's not like a full work of art like Alan or a sculpture or anything like that. So you can literally make a house be haunted just by talking about it. And so you could call them micro-narratives if you want to get more technical about it. I think that'd be fair. They call urban legends micro-narratives. Or micro-stories. But regardless. Okay, read the folklore. Alright, let's head on through. Because it's like the darkness leaks out and is just pure chaos energy, and people tell the local stories that shapes that chaos energy into whatever they're talking about. Okay, let's wander around. We're actually on our last stretch here. The silver mine is the last section before we get to the lake.
I could see Mirror Peak in the distance. That's where Cauldron Lake was.
Yes, those rhymes and dolls from Dr. Campbell's experiments in Alan Wake 2. Yes, that's a good example of that. Because literally every time that Saga completed the ritual, she caused a micro-reality shift that made Bright Falls reflect what was on there. And then that story became permanent. Okay. So now we're going to get into a very problematic bit of information that was in the survival guide. Now, this detail, it causes a lot of problems in what we know about the setting and the characters. So I'm going to mention it, but there's literally nothing that supports it within the game itself. Because we're about to jump inside this minecart and go on a little Minecraft ride. Kind of like Donkey Kong stuff, right? In the survival guide, Alan makes a comment as he's jumping in here and going down the minecart that he remembers playing computer games that dealt with these minecarts and mashing the A button with his nephews. Alan played video games with his nephews that dealt with these minecarts. As far as we know, Alan doesn't have siblings. Okay, so Melissa, you're saying maybe Alice has siblings and that they're... It's not really his nephew, it'd be more like a step-nephew or a nephew-in-law kind of thing. I'm presuming Donkey Kong's what they're referring to. So it's like, it's such a random off-the-wall comment that you're just like, wait, what? Maybe he doesn't have any siblings anymore. Do you write them out? And again, like, this is why I don't want to go down this line of thinking where we're forcing that information to be rationalized within the context of the universe, because it could just be David Hodgson making shit up. The author. The IRL author, not the in-universe author. But who knows? Like, I'm not going to try to rationalize it, but I wanted to at least mention it. But if we're going to go off on the hypothesis that it's one of Alice's siblings, and by extension nephews, fair, but again, we have no information that even Alice has any siblings. But I just want to clarify that we do not have to make every little ass detail work within here, because we can never trust that everything that's mentioned is actually accurate. You can headcanon what you want, but I try not to jump to conclusions. Oh, jeez. Okay, let's get a save point in there, and then head down to another hidden cache. We're almost done. We only got 2 left. Okay, let's pick up the shotgun, because we were completely out of ammo for our off weapon. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my god, we have so... Come on. Come on, don't look at that. Oh no, we're actually maxed out in flare gun ammo. I'll take it. See, I will jump to conclusions when there's multiple data points that point towards a certain conclusion, but if there's only a single data point, it makes it much more difficult. Anyways, let's go ahead and switch over to read our hidden cache lore. Hold on, let me exit out. Move your tail. Move your tail, sweetheart. Alright, so hidden cache will be on page 220. And there's also jumping to conclusions based upon data in the game versus on data outside the game. That was written by someone that's not Remedy. But I heard a voice. It came to me in a dream and told me, it's not a lake, it's an ocean. Concentrate on cauldron. Concentrate on the cauldron. Find further help at the base of the ravine below the minecart bridge. The voice came to her in a dream, so it's possible Cynthia had dreams of Alan making the comments. So she had... It's actually not fair, because if Cynthia got access to the Departure book before it was officially published because she was having dreams of it, you know what? I'm glad she did not post spoilers online. She's talking like how Rose says Alan talks to her. Well, we'll get one more step closer. I mean, she's not wrong. And we do know that dreams and radio signals can leak out of the dark place. That is canon, according to American Nightmare. Shoot! Wait, hold on. New Hope Harbor. New Hope Harbor. I've never seen that. Hold on. I never noticed that texture. Give me a second. Sorry, I was just reading the box inside the cart there, and it's labeled as New Hope Harbor. I've never heard of that location. Boxes and silver carts have New Hope Harbor printed on the side. Okay. So yeah, I'm finding new stuff as we go. Every time I play this game, I notice new details. The rest of it's probably just company jargon, but... We might see the texture again a little bit later. They'll probably reuse the same thing later on in this region. Go away! You know what? There's a bunch of birds here. Zoe, you're up. It's your job to take care of all these birds. I mean, that's a cat's duty, right? Okay. Ka-ching. We got some more thermos. This one's going to be on page 220, so it's right here. Did you see it? No, not the thermos. That's on the far side of the minecart bridge at the top of the covered platform. I mean the owl. Terrifying. Looking at me no matter where I turn. I saw a man in some kind of weird spacesuit, too. Just for a split second, in my mind's eye. I know I'm not mad, but my eyes are playing tricks. Whole body is tingling. Now he's seeing the diver. His grip on reality is getting weaker and weaker. Sure, let me just get on this side of the bridge. Okay, got that one. Ah, you dildo! Okay, we're good. Wait, oh yeah, I just stepped in the shadow. No! Oh, don't go in the shadows. Why are you doing that? Okay, let's take a look and see if we can see any textures on it. No, we can't. Actually, what I'm going to do is, in my free time, I'm going to go back onto the Steam version of this game, get to this location, and go free cam and see if I can read the entirety of that box. I'll take some screenshots and put it up in Discord. Ah, jeez. Beautiful. Oh, so I'll go I'll go ahead and put an updated Discord link in the description, but it's going to have to be after we end stream. Because the one I have in there is copied from the previous one, and they expire every 7 days, so it's probably not going to work, but I'll update it and resave. So check in maybe a half an hour after the stream ends if you want to get the up-to-date Discord link. Oh, no. There we go. Something deck carrier. Yeah, it says something deck/carrier. Fifth deck carrier? I think that's what it is. It's just kind of hard to read. Luckily, we're maxed out on flare guns, so we can make use of it. And the Dark Presence is not happy with us right now. I need to get into an area where I have more free view. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and turn the lights here. Let's go. Boom. 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 Okay, we got light. We're safe. And we got a... You know what? There's a flare gun there. Let's go ahead and abuse that, because these guys will track us through the whole region, so I want to take care of them now. Otherwise, they're going to snipe us later. Come on. Okay, I guess not. I was going to try to use it real quick and then run back and grab an extra flare gun ammo, but... that was a whole building. There we go. That was a good shot. Let's go get the flare gun ammo. Come on. Oh! Thank you for just standing there and taking it. You so have honor, unlike your brother who just run away from me. There we go. Come on. There we go, that's good enough. Just trying to pull a Dorothy on me? Yeah, no shit. Yeah, it literally just dropped... Wait, that's not a whole building. Shit. Shit. Get away. There he is. Alright, red train car. I'm gonna take advantage of you. See, this is a good location to take care of, get rid of a lot of these guys, because I can just hang out right here and they'll run right in front of me. Hello there. Come on, bring it on, bitches. And we're gonna stay here until we take care of all the speedy boys. Are you gonna come? One more. I love the bottleneck here. Because otherwise, if you're in the woods, it just makes it so much more difficult. Come on. Come on. You ran away, you dodgy bitch. Alright. Alright. And right behind us is a coffee thermos, which is another added benefit of hanging out in this train car. Page 223. Alright. I found the thermos inside the upper end of the fallen rail carriage, under the smoldering tree. Been coughing up dust for the last hour. Thought I was covered in beetles. Trying to get to the encampment and call for help. Vision's bad. Difficult to write. Severe pain. Last entry. Soon. Coughing up dust. That's an interesting detail. Alright, we're heading back out. And this is called... I can't read it. Where's the name of the ship? I've never looked and see what the name of the ship is, but I'm curious. And there is no name on the ship. Damn it. I guess that would be too convenient. They don't say what color the dust is. Just that it's black dust. Shit! That is not cool. Get away, you dick. Where are you? That one was really close. I mean, like, little details like that are really... You could easily put a random name on there and it'd be fine, but it also gives the opportunity to say, oh, well, this ship was one that disappeared in Cauldron Lake back in 1950 or something, you know what I mean? It's an opportunity to create more story down the line. Ammunition. So we got ammo crates here. Maybe the military left some stuff down here. But then again, this also is a hunter's blind, so maybe it's not the military, but poachers? Because we saw something like this back in the poacher's blind in episode 3. So who knows? Whoever set this up didn't want to be noticed. And now we got a burnt... Oh. Oh, crap. That's not good. So this is the asset I think they used in American Nightmare, where they set this burnt-out RV right behind the rest stop. And they never explained why it was burnt out. Will not name it also an opportunity for the story. I mean, you could argue that. Ow. Please, please do not roll into me. So, like, here's another big ship. There's an opportunity to name it, but they didn't do it. Now, there's just one level called the Caves in American Nightmare where they do name the ship, and the name of the ship is actually very interesting and happens to be a reference to a Shakespeare book. Can I get into the ship from the behind? No, I cannot. Okay. Yeah, the name of the ship in American Nightmare is a direct reference to a character in Shakespeare that happens to be a similar parallel to Alice Wake, interestingly enough. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Yep, so there's another New Hope barrel right there. Alrighty, so we have made it, everyone. We've officially gotten the last of the hidden caches. So let's take a look. 30 out of 30. You guys ready for some mind fuckery? Ground floor of the first building in the old miners' encampment. I've been shown the light. The last piece of the torch-bearer's puzzle is complete. Weaver was a favorite part to play. Excuse me, what? The last piece of the torch-bearer's puzzle, and Weaver was just this person's favorite role to play. So here's how I interpret this. We know that Barbara Jagger, within the context of the story, is really the dark presence playing the role of Barbara Jagger. So yes, in the confines of Departure, Barbara Jagger is her own character, but in the context of the grander universe, it's the dark presence wearing her skin. Thomas Zane, aka the Diver, is a character within Departure. However, it is the bright presence that's playing the role of that character. Cynthia Weaver is a character within Departure. But if we are to take this last piece as seriously, it's actually an entity known as the Torchbearer that's playing the role of Cynthia Weaver. And the Torchbearer also plays the role of Rose in Alan Wake 2. The Torchbearer plays multiple roles within the story because it's also playing the role of Frank Breaker and Pat Maine and Deputy Thornton and Deputy Mulligan and Deputy Grant and Deputy Janes. The Torchbearer is essentially an archetype from the Dark Place that is intended to act as a bulwark. While the Bright Presence is the main force, the Torchbearer is one of its agents. And within Departure, the Torchbearer played multiple roles as an agent of the Bright Presence. One of them was Cynthia Weaver. And that's right there is the reason why whoever was leaving, because Cynthia in the story was leaving all these notes for Alan. But if Cynthia is speaking, or if the Torchbearer is speaking through her, there's a very easy reason why you would be aware of Alan's writings in advance. Yeah, so it was one actor who played multiple roles within the story. Think of it like a stage play rather than a book, where you have one actor playing multiple roles. And we see that not only does the if we take this as seriously, that the Bright Presence has an agent known as the Torchbearer, we also know that the Herald of Darkness, aka is also Mr. Scratch in American Nightmare, is an agent of the Dark Presence. It explicitly states that in the manuscript page in American Nightmare, that Scratch is only an agent of a greater being, implying that there's a hierarchy to these things. One could even argue that Alan Wake is being played by the Torchbearer. Not that there's direct evidence for it, but thematically it would make sense. Maybe this is part of that graffiti saying, hey, did you write this? Yeah! In Cynthia's father's mansion, or actually I think it was her grandfather's mansion. No. Yeah. It's a mansion that was owned by the Weaver family at one point. In the basement, there was yellow paint saying, did you write this? As if she's confused about it. And this entire idea, if we accept the fact that there are archetypes, entities from the Dark Place that would occasionally play the role of characters, it really goes into the idea of, okay, what's taking over the Anderson brothers while they're on script or while they're on stage? Are the literal entities Odin and Tor taking over their bodies or acting through them? And then as soon as it's no longer happening, they revert back to being senile old men. Yeah, we can say the Champion of Light is its own archetype and is being the active force behind Alan. The Herald of Darkness. I refer to the entity as the Herald. The Herald of Darkness, Scratch. But also, what's taking Ahti? Because we see when we witness Ahti off camera, off script, he becomes like he has dementia. He acts like he has dementia, or he's just very confused on where he's even at. So it seems like there is a lot of things a pantheon in the dark place that will act through people. And it's not always, and it can act in multiple characters. Anyways, does the player us have any say in this, or more clearly, do they acknowledge the players are a thing? Yes, the series does acknowledge the player is a thing. There's a multiple times in the here, once when we're crossing the Black River or the Dark River, where Alan feels like he is being controlled by someone, like he's a puppet on strings, by an unseen force, referring to us as the player. Anyways, that is what all of this hidden cache lore is leading up to, and it is another entity acting in the backgrounds of the story of Alan Wake that we never noticed before. It's just random as all hell. The darkness controls the Taken. Okay, there's another thermos right around this area, too. Sam Lake likes to explore meta-narratives, 100%. Would the Taken also be an archetype? Yep, it's the Dark Presence. The Dark Presence is manifesting him. Where is the door that lets me out of here? What? Am I being dumb? Because I'm literally not finding my exit path. I feel really stupid. Where is the door to leave? My brain literally just fried. Maybe I just walk out through this door. No. Why am I being so stupid right now? The hardest part of the game, getting out of this building. There we go. Sorry about my momentary brain fart there.
I'd first heard the poem in a dream, recited by a strange UFO-like light. I'd read it again in a cabin in a book by Thomas Zane. For he did not know that beyond the lake he called home lies a deeper, darker ocean green, where waves are both wilder and more serene. To its ports I've been, to its ports I've been.
So this clarifies that, yes, he had never heard this before. Because remember, in the remastered version, they have Zane's shoebox full of poems in Alan's closet back at his home in New York. The problem is that's remastered only. So for some reason, so he never, and it was trying to imply that, oh, Alan was familiar with Zane beforehand. Not the case. Not the case. All right, coffee thermos. We're at the penultimate entry for our boy. Damn good coffee. 99 out of 100. Windmill, on grass, front of encampment. Last one. Saw the light. Beautiful, captivating. Told me to stop writing now. Goodbye. He's reached the higher level of caffeine high. Damn. Damn. Alright, now here is going to be another tough fight, but luckily we have a bunch of flare gun ammos. Oh wait, before we do this, let's turn on the light over here. Let's get the generator turned on. Oh, and we got a bunch of ammo here we can use. So I'm just gonna hang out right here. Because I can bottleneck them right in front of me. And we got some spare stuff. Shit. That one did not hit. But that did hit. Okay, good. Let's just pop all of our resources here. Okay. Drop a flare. So at least I can activate this and get that going. Drop another flare, and let's head back to our choke point. And that guy just ran into a thingy. Good job. Okay, we're safe. Whew. Come on. You guys want some of this? Oh, 3 speedsters in one go, you guys. Just line right on up there for me. Wait, hold on, there's some pistol ammo. Let's grab it. See how... I don't know how anyone can say that the combat in Alan Wake 2 is better than this. This combat's actually fun. You just don't get enough of it.
After Zane had gone, I stood alone in the shifting dream that was the dark place. I had to find a way to the cabin. I'd written myself a way through this place in the manuscript. I followed the idea of a path. I'd written myself across the ocean that blocked my way, and with that, there was a bridge to the island beyond. The idea of the cabin flickered in the underwater darkness. I willed the cabin to be real, and it was.
And I think that's the last of it. We officially have 100% of our manuscript pages. Let's go. Honestly, I do understand that perspective too, is if combat is more difficult, that could technically make the anxiety of playing a horror game greater. Like, I argue that original Silent Hill combat is superior because it makes you more tense. The controls make it harder to move around, which means when you're attacked, you freak out more than when you can have full control over your character. Drop another flare. Drop another flare, and we're good. Yes, by having clunky tank controls, then you really... You're more fearful because you can get cornered a lot easier. Honestly, I like tank controls, personally.
Alice never loved you.
Alice never loved me? Yeah, go fuck yourself! So all I'll say for this type of section is I wish we got to see this more. Where everything is just batshit crazy and off the walls. Like, if this section was longer, I would have loved it. Okay, let's get going! I'm not the source of that light, so somebody's protecting us right now. Oh yeah, like, the Dark Presence is blatantly lying right now. It really just comes down to throwing anything and everything at us to get us to stop. She's going for the emotional damage and failing miserably. So wait for that to go through. Wait for the bus to come through. Or the RV, I should say. And we're good. Jump! And we're good. And there she is, standing in the middle of it on that pinnacle. It's just, there's so much shit going on, it's kind of hard to see Barbara hanging out there.
You're making this up?
I am making this up, but that does not mean it's not real. Yeah, why wouldn't you take the weapons with you?
Hell!
Shh, baby. You were having a bad dream. It was just another nightmare.
No,
Everything's fine. You're home.
it wasn't a dream.
Everything's fine.
Okay, I'm
Turn the
done.
lights on. Turn the lights on!
Shh, baby. The power's out. There's no light. Come back to bed and I'll make you forget all about your fear of the dark.
My fear? It's your fear. Why aren't you afraid? You're not Alice. Turn the lights on now. Where's the clicker? What did you do with it?
Alan, honey, you're still 1 foot in a dream. You're not making any sense. Come back to bed.
And if anyone says I can fix you're banned. Sorry. Alright, let's continue onwards.
Alan, you're scaring me
And
now.
yes, it is green.
Come back to bed. Have you taken your pills? Do you want me to call Dr. Hartman?
And the Dark Presence is really trying anything to get
I
him to
read
back
your
down here.
manuscript. It's brilliant. Departure is your best work yet. You're a genius. I'm so proud of you. Come back to bed. We'll talk more about it in the morning.
So she goes from trying to gaslight you into thinking you're crazy and then immediately going to praising you, saying, oh my god, you're amazing, so feeding into his ego. But yeah, so the whole thing with green is I have heard it said and repeated that if you were to infinitely, or like the closest thing to the true color of a mirror is going to be green, because if you infinitely reflect itself, it takes on a slightly green tinge, which may be why Valkyr also has a green tinge when Max Payne is high on the drug. And there's also, we're talking about the salt lamp in Control that turned everything green. So it's really kind of a Barbers on the frames. Ooh, I've never noticed that detail. That is so cool. Hold on, I'm going to write this down. Thanks for pointing that out. That's really cool. Barbara Reflection in photos in dark place. Apartment. That's so freaking cool. See, I find new stuff every single time I play this game. It's also been associated with alternate realities since it was used in The Matrix. I mean, fair.
Come back to bed, Alan.
Come back to bed, Tom.
You also associate green with Loki. Okay. Yeah, he's a shape changer. Yeah, he's a shapeshifter. So I did mention Loki, the fourth member of the Old Gods of Asgard, briefly. And I have hypotheses about his involvement in the story. Because he disappeared in 1972 after the second album, Follow Me Underground, was released by the Old Gods. And the underground they're referring to may be here. And he's a trickster. A shapeshifter and a trickster with access to the dark place. You
must find your way to the cabin. It stands in your way. It won't let you pass. It has no heart. It's filled with darkness. You must fill its heart with light. Don't mind him. He's Mr. Your friends will meet him when you're gone.
What about the ritual now?
Use the clicker.
And here we go. Look down. Alrighties. So we got a couple more things to do before we continue on in this section. No, this is not DLC. This is the main game. We're officially in the dark place, people, and it's unformed. It's the unformed mass. Alan has not yet projected his consciousness into it, so it really hasn't formed itself into a structure. Now, in the novel, again, novelization's semi to non-canon, but we're going to go with it. It confirms that writers are not gods. That they cannot create something out of nothing. All they can do is continue the story, not rewrite it. So they can take what's already there and then move forward, but that's really about it. And the title section, this is kind of pointless, but I think it's fun. The title section in the survival guide in this region is called Mind Over Matter. Alright, you guys ready? Final thermos. Let's see what's become of him after he saw the light. Alrighty, this one is going to be on page 228. Damn good coffee. I followed the idea of 100 coffee thermoses. I created the final one, near the sofa. Markers to keep me mentally focused. Something nondescript, not out of place, but only I could see, and a man to weave. The narrative... Oh, sorry. But only I could see, and a man to weave the narrative. Served his time. Back in the brain bank. The end. Back in the brain bank. So, yes, the Thermos FBI agent was manifested into reality for the sole purpose of being a guide to find them all. It might be Alan, yeah. It literally might just be Alan playing a role, running through the town to collect all the thermoses. And when he says, I created the final one, we literally just did by shining the flashlight on it. Something nondescript and not out of place. And he served his time. So was he real? It depends. Is Alan real? And yes, that does explain how he got into Bird Lake Cabin and how he got into Alan's apartment. It was just a figment of his own. The role of the detective, just like he took on the role of Detective Alex Casey in Initiation. Zoe, what are you doing? We're almost done. We're almost done, sweetheart. The common symptom of drinking 100 coffees back to back, I mean, fair. I mean, let's be real. You could play through this game in about 8 hours if you just ran straight through it. And if you drink 100 cups of coffee in 8 hours, you'd be dead too. Just saying. Alan writes detective fiction, so he's most comfortable in that role, 100%. We're going to take our time here and just look at everything. Oh, by the way, now that I'm thinking about it, we're not going to mention the reason why yet, but there is an in-lore explanation in American Nightmare for why the flashlight goes from low beam to high beam when Alan focuses on it. The whole regular versus high beam, there's an in-lore reason for it. And it's kind of interesting, but we'll talk about that later. And we have seen this scene so many times before. Just like Max Payne getting a call for John from Address Unknown, among other things.
I followed the idea of a path.
And that's Alan talking to himself again. Just how is Alan just making birds? Yes, this is the dark place. All he has to do is think there's a bird, and boom, there's a bird. Literally, like, reality is in its most chaotic state. And by chaos, I don't mean randomness. I mean primordial pre-creation state. Where intention can manifest things into reality, and that's what he's doing.
I'm leaving you.
What?
I'm leaving you, Alan. I met someone. I'm in love with someone else.
Alice? No, what are you saying? You can't...
You don't love me. How could you when you don't even love yourself? All you do is torture yourself with work you can't do anymore.
No, I love you more than anything in the world. You're my muse.
I'm not.
Who are you? What have you done with my Alice?
Alan? What are you doing? Put the light back on. What are you doing, Alan? Stop. Put the light back on.
It wasn't true. Nothing like that had ever happened.
Yeah, I think because like they had those kind of visual glitches when it comes to light sources throughout the entire game upon release, and they fixed it in the rest of the game, but it seems they never fixed it here. Like the textures just keep coming off. You see that? It's just... I apologize. It looks like they never actually fixed it in this area, at least. So the original in the original developer commentary, they do confirm that all of these audio clips we're hearing here are just the Dark Presence's little parlor tricks trying to get Alan to give up and surrender. It's just fucking with his head. None of it is taken as reality. Like the Hartman interview in the DLC, yeah. Yeah, like, that's not reality whatsoever. The Dark Presence is just playing with the tools it has.
I had written myself across the ocean.
Which is actually kind of interesting, because when you listen to the telephone, you actually listen, pull off the receiver and just listen through the signal through the telephone, it reflects reality. But when you just hear the voices coming up over the ether, it's lies. Is it like this in the remaster? This is the remaster break. It's only like this in the remaster. Diver's Isle. Yeah, it's throwing everything against the wall in the vain hope of stopping out. Yeah. Because at this point, all it can do is inflict emotional damage.
You're not my Barbara.
Tom, let me go. I promise to be good. Please, untie me, you naughty boy. I will help you write your masterpiece. I will love you forever.
No, you're not Barbara Jagger. I made a terrible mistake. I should have never written you back. You came back wrong. Your heart is filled with darkness.
Put that knife away, Thomas. Put it down.
My heart is filled with darkness. I'll cut it out. I'll take you back to the depths you came from.
And again, this time, the Dark Presence is forcing Alan's voice to go over Tom and Alice's voice to go over Barbara, trying to confuse him. Because what that's essentially going to do is put the fear of God into Alan, saying, if I continue this way, what happened to Tom and Barbara is what's going to happen to me and Alice. So I should just stop now, because I do not want the same situation that happened 40 years ago to happen right now with me and him, or me and my wife. Again, this is more Dark Presence tricks. Alan Wake is secretly Kingdom Hearts confirmed. You know what? Alan, like, the Remedyverse and Kingdom Hearts are two of my favorite franchises, so you know what? I definitely have a type of storytelling, as you can tell. No, Zoe, don't play with my headphone wire. It's not your toy. Come on. It also tries to make you think if Thomas and Barbara were real, Alan and Alice are the ones we saw as fictional and created by imagination. Yes, and that becomes more prominent in Alan Wake 2, where they deliberately try to confuse and blur the line between Zane and Alan, but specifically filmmaker Zane, not this Zane. There's a good kitty. Unfortunately, on Nightmare difficulty, these things have incredible health bars, so burning the lights out are just insane. Alright, let's go.
Get away from me, you hag! Where am I? Let me go!
Alice! Alice! I'm coming!
Your husband refused to do as he was told. All he had to do was write what I wanted him to write. Now it's too late. It's his fault. You'll stay here forever.
Now you will never get her back.
I am much older than you. Older than your first work of art. I will find a new face to wear. Someone else to dream me free.
Goodbye now. I find it interesting that Alan's body language there is he's hugging her. Oh yeah, she definitely means older than your first work of art means older than humanity's first work of art. Because this place is literally pre-creation. So reality had not yet been formed when the Dark Presence was running around.
I could feel Alice's presence close by. I understood what I had to do now. I knew how to write the ending to Departure. There's light and there's darkness. Cause and effect. There's guilt and there's atonement. But the scales always need to balance. Everything has a price. That's where Zane had gone wrong. There's a long journey through the night back into the light.
And there's the owl with the spread out wings that the Thermos guy saw. Because again, Alan keeps bouncing back and forth.
Alice? Oh no!
And the final draft of Departure is now complete. Everything up to this point was the first draft of Departure, and now he did the final draft. Hence why everyone's like, oh, he did a time loop here. I'm like, no, not really. It's just we're witnessing the events of the final draft in this scene rather than the first draft in the previous scene. Now, in the novelization... Hold on. In the novelization, Alan made it so that Sarah Breaker was standing on the docks as Alice came up, so that she had someone to, drive her back into town and get her medical attention. Even though, obviously, she's not here in the game, but you know what? I like the idea. It would make sense. Because otherwise she's kind of stuck here and no one knows she's there. I love that they focus on her wedding ring there.
Alan? Alan?
Maybe she's about to get there. I mean, possibly. And now it's time for Deerfest. Not a crazy one, like in Return, but a nice Deerfest. This is also around the time the FBC shows up in Bright Falls. I'd like to think they show, like, the FBC and Clay Stewart showed up after Deerfest. But then again, there may be details in Control that I'm not remembering at the moment. But, anyways. I mean, Kirkland did say they'd probably not get there until after everything was done. The boys! Oh, look, it's the Torchbearer acting through Rose, and the Dark Presence still has Nightingale. They use taken models for the crowd and just brighten them up. Hold on. I turned down the music there so you can't really hear it. And honestly, I don't really care for the song there because it's not Space Oddity. I hate that they changed it because of licensing issues. They can't use Space Oddity there at the end. Because it's so perfect. It's so perfect. The thing is, because I turned down the audio, you couldn't really hear the music too well. I mean, shit, it wasn't even playing in my head. But anyways, we are still not done, guys, because we have the epilogue. And the remastered is Space Oddity. When did they change it? It's only in the original it was changed? Okay. You know what? I take it back. I take it back. I couldn't even hear any music playing just now, so that's why I skipped it real quick. Wait, doesn't the Champion of Light call Alan the Torchbearer? No. I mean, possibly. We'll keep that in mind, Flarouche, because I do not recall, and honestly, I was not paying attention the last time I was going through American Nightmare. But we will pay attention when we go to play it. Alright, guys. It is time to head back here and finish up our epilogue of Alan Wake. First, let's read the publisher note on page 229. Publisher's note. Zoe, we're almost done. Give me a few more minutes. Let me just move my controller up there. Publisher's note. So, just so you know, for here, this is the last words in the thing. Wake was gripping something in his right hand. He couldn't let it go even if he tried. He took the final few steps and embraced the infinite. It was time to end this, for Alan to wake up. The author raised his hand and thrust it forward, jabbing his arm into... And then it stops. Publisher note. It appears the last page of the submitted manuscript has been removed by the author. Numerous attempts to contact and placate the author have proven to be somewhat difficult. As we are still contractually obligated to reprint as much of the story as possible, this has been done to the best of our abilities and knowledge. We sincerely hope this doesn't spoil your enjoyment. From Peter Martell, Publishing Director of Roundabout Press. So, David Hodgson, the watery author of the Survival Guide, remember, he disappeared shortly after finishing this, but apparently he wasn't able, or he decided not to share what happened to Alan after he put his hand inside the Barbara's chest. And remember, he was living in the Pacific Northwest and had a statue of Cthulhu in front of his cabin. For whatever reason. Sorry, I just had to move my keyboard because the cat was getting ready to step on it. Okay. Now let's go... Let's see if we can find it. Hold on. Okay, sorry guys. Give me a second. Oh no, you're good. I was about to take the cat and put her outside just so we can get through this, but she just laid down. We're good. I read the comment I was tagged in. I can't. If you want to play the game. Oh yeah, I saw your comment, Marama. I would never want to play this game with cheats turned on. I'd rather just play the game normally. Alrighty, so let's head a few pages forward because Sarah Breaker received something after the end of the game. And for some reason, it's not here. Oh, here we go. A farewell from Bright Falls. This postcard reached Sheriff Sarah Breaker and contained the following handwritten message. I enjoyed my stay. I think I'll stick around for a little while. Some of us are here for longer than others. Bright Falls Wilderness. Do you guys think Alan sent it to her? After he left, he's like, you know what? You'll stick around for a little bit. Or the dwarf. I mean, we think the dwarf because we see the red chair, but I don't know. Who knows? But someone enjoyed their vacation here and thinks they'll stick around for a little bit. What about the guide author? He became something else. I mean, the thing is, he wouldn't say I enjoyed my stay because he was a resident of Watery. David Hodgson was the resident of Watery, therefore he lived here, so it's not like he was temporarily staying here. It wasn't a visit for him. Anyways, so there's that. Now let's head back a little bit because there's some other information as well. Let's see if I can find it. Never heard of a staycation? That's my every vacation is a staycation. Okay. So under the manuscript pages, there's an interesting little detail that I know you guys would enjoy. Departure is arguably Alan Wake's magnum opus, a collection of riveting narrative pieces joined loosely and said to be found during his adventure. Charges of a ghost writer named Thomas are hotly disputed, but this much is certain. Particular pages are only found during particularly difficult nightmares. Again, they're talking about night difficulties. But in the aftermath of Departure being published, he was accused of using a ghostwriter named Thomas to write it. Who knows? Now let's head back to page 169. 169, where are you? Well, you could also argue if someone is writing through Alan, because like let's look at how Return was written in Alan Wake 2. It wasn't really him. It was filmmaker Zane drugging him and kind of writing through him. Or Scratch, under the influence of it, was writing through him. Would that be considered a ghostwriter in the same context? Who knows? All right, Bright Falls Record. Pictorial highlights of this year's Deerfest. Photographs by Daniel Torrance. Again, Danny. Pat Main and Cheryl Johnson. Doc Nelson and Mr. Randolph share a handshake and coffee as the last-minute preparations continue. Amazing aerial photographs by the Torrance plane on approach. So again, Daniel Torrance is the guy flying the planes in most of the stuff. The procession down Harbor Street drew hundreds of well-wishers from across the country. The Deerfest float, Old Wide-Eyed Buck, had been recently patched up and is looking great. Doc Nelson and Pat Main enjoy the festivities. Many thanks to you both for making it a success. These two old-timers have a jig or two left in them. Thanks for the memories. See you next year, Alan. Wait. The ad literally concludes with, see you next year, Alan. Okay. Now let's look at more of those lost manuscript pages, because we have 4 more manuscript pages that never made it into the game. One on page 14. Alright, so here is a lost file. A seasoned Sherpa. The man beckoned him over, ready to impart the local flavor with a knowing glint in his eye. This was a path tracked before, both recently and decades ago. The guide was a disheveled fellow with a scruffy beard and an overly elaborate flourish to his narration. But he was just the best the visitor could manage, and he knew Alan Wake's secrets. So we have 2 things. Who is the Sherpa? And who is he talking to? And they mentioned this was a path tracked before, both now and decades ago, so most likely this was a path tracked during the 1970 AWE. Yeah, it's like a mountain guide, but who is this mountain guide? And why does he know Alan's secrets? And who is coming to this mountain guide to speak? Who knows? Yeah, scruffy beard, though. And now we have another lost manuscript page right here. Lost File number 3, The Master of Marionettes. Deerfest was in full swing, and Harbor Street was awash in red, white, and blue confetti. Again, this was just happening during the last scene of the game at Deerfest. He stared out from the window of the Oh Dear Diner and saw life pass him by. These people were the salt of the earth, ready to help both friend or stranger. These people were cruel, uncaring, and mischievous, out for themselves and fearful of failure. These people were mad, and he was the master of these mad marionettes. So we have the dichotomy of everybody here is both a good person and a horrible person. Yep. I'm going to go with that, Marama, that this master of marionettes was... that we're reading through the perspective of Nightingale looking out from the window, and considers itself the master of marionettes for all of the people he once took. 100%. Sherpas are an indigenous group in the Himalayas, well renowned for their climbing skills. Yeah, no, 100%. But it still begs the question, who is the Sherpa talking to and who the Sherpa is in the first place? Alright, page 20. We got another one. Where are you? Lost File number 4. Shadowed by Another. Wake watched with interest from his new study as the long-haired man left a psychic strand, an almost invisible impression in his own wake. Alan was being followed, a fellow traveler naive enough to plunge into the unexplored deep, or a figment of Wake's own imagination, created by the author to weave layer upon meticulous layer so others could watch Wake's own predicament play out. Now, I've thought about this one because he literally has a psychic traveler following him. I'm wondering if this is in reference to David Hodgson, the author of the Survival Guide, where Alan briefly within the dark place became aware of the psychic passenger. Because if we look up David Hodgson, game, let's just say game. Oh my gosh, let me zoom in. This is the author of the Survival Guide. The long-haired fellow, you say? Yeah. The impression I get here is that he was a literal... Alan briefly became aware of the other individual following him around. In a way, the player is a psychic passenger. That is true, but we're not all long-haired. I mean, I got super short hair right now. But I think that's what this is referring to. Weaving, or a figment of Wake's own imagination created by the author to weave a layer upon meticulous layer so others could watch. And that's what we're doing in the Survival Guide. We're watching. Now the question is he real, or is David Hodgson within the because there's two individuals. One, the real life guy who is a real author for video game strategy guides, but there's also the in-universe David Hodgson, who is a resident of Watery, who wrote this. So did Alan create this other author to write the survival guide, or not? Who knows? Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Now we have page 230, the last of the missing manuscripts. Number 5, 1,000 Points of Light. For Wake, the adventure was over. He was content to reread his manuscript pages and double-check any loose ends or plot discrepancies. 2 days later, he had finished. And again, this leads into the idea that after he got in there, he wrote the final draft and then published it, which is what caused what appears to be a time reset, but it's not what happened. Another literary triumph, and one he could now share with the many fans who descended on the small Pacific Northwest town, hoping to follow in his footsteps. He had achieved so much, but he had sacrificed more. So I think the 1,000 points of light are us. So we can follow in his footsteps. He'd now share with many fans who descended on the small Pacific town. How do you publish something when you live in another reality? I mean, who knows? That's my interpretation of this, at least. If you guys think anything else, just let me know. All right. So I got 2 or 3 more things left to discuss. One, let's finish up Clay Stewart's story. We need to be finished because his story's not done. Remember, after this event at the end of the game is when he showed up and started investigating Alan's disappearance. After this event, Clay would go on to publish the Alan Wake files as well as other articles in Zone Quarterly, the Whole Truth newsletter, and an article called The Rising Tide. He's also currently working on a psycho-literary analysis of the literature of H.P. Lovecraft entitled The Alchemist. Darknoid is right, this is about the achievement. I mean, that'd be funny if literally the 1,000 points of light is just the achievements you get for 100%ing the game. That'd be funny as hell. That would be very, very amusing. Okay. Boom. Let's go ahead and go down to the bottom so we can read the epilogue of Clay's adventure. Afterward. All right, this will be the end. The preceding investigation was conducted at great personal cost. The night I discovered Bright Falls, I left my wife Anna and our newborn son Milo on a quest for a man who had appeared to me in a series of dreams. Anna never understood the importance of my visions, never appreciated that they had significance that extended beyond our petty lives in the world beyond. Sometimes it felt as though she could not see anything beyond the laundry, the bills, and local news. I will admit that she considered my investigation to be, at best, the product of obsession, and at worst, a convenient way by which I could avoid the burdens of fatherhood. In the interests of full disclosure, I will admit also that since I lost my job, I had not been able to provide for my family in any meaningful sense. Anna and I were once in love, but we married young. I was 20, she was 19, and since our wedding day, I had felt more and more estranged from her. I had become depressed, and I wasn't much use around the house. Milo cried. He cried a lot. I would pick him up and try to play father, but he would scream and bawl till I could hardly stand it. There's truth to what she said, but there's truth to what I found. When I left for Bright Falls that night, I kissed my wife and boy for what I thought might be the last time, convinced that if I found what had appeared to me in my visions, they would perish the way I had. Each night for months, Anna told me that if I returned, she and Milo would be gone, and that I would not be able to find them, that it was over between us. She begged me to stay, and I walked out of the door. She wished me dead. The visions were real, but perhaps I was a poor vessel for them. I didn't choose to be pulled into these events. Something happened in Bright Falls in the weeks before the Deer Fest of last year. Just look at the Elderwood Visitor Center, the strange number of disappearances, the walking wounded who speak in repeating sentences and can no longer venture into the light, their photosensitivity so acute as to render it a simple noontime stroll excruciating. Alright, so this flat out says that some people were taken, but when the story was over, returned, or at least were touched by the dark presence in some way, and now they just kind of wander about. They're very photosensitive, and they're shut-ins because they can't deal with the sunlight anymore. This was not a cover-up orchestrated by mighty governmental agencies or their outsourced minions by the silent and unanimous town consensus. No one will talk about it, and everyone concerned has chosen to go on with their lives as though they could bury their memories with their departed loved ones. Similar to how Rose was at least with the repeated sentences. Yes, exactly, Darkanoid. At this time of printing, I'm still unaware of whether Alan Wake is dead, missing, or in hiding. There was one night when I was walking back to the Majestic in the Elderwood Trail, and I thought I saw a man that looked like Wake rounding a bend in the trail. I called out and started jogging, then running over to him, then running after him, and while he seemed to walk at a steady and even pace, I was never able to catch up. There was even a brief moment in which he looked back and I saw that it was him. He smiled at me as though he were letting me in on some big secret, just before rounding the bend. When I caught up, he had vanished. I think that's Scratch. I think the man that resembles Alan was Scratch and was just kind of fucking with him, because we see Scratch doing the exact same thing with Alice and Barry on occasion. The American Nightmare variant of Scratch mentions that he has been doing that kind of stuff. Those closest to him have refused all requests for interviews, and I've only just recently persuaded his agent Barry Wheeler to drop his lawsuit. I stayed on in Bright Falls for weeks, even helped rebuild the devastation of the Elderwood Visitor Center caused by what some called bad weather, and others referred to as the worst kind of juju. Likewise, my attempts to locate Agent Nightingale have been fruitless. My dreams have stopped, and I consider my part in this matter complete. Before leaving Bright Falls, I threw my dream journal into the lake and hopefully returned my visions to their source. I want no more part of that life anymore. But perhaps all measures, my search must be considered a failure. I've done my job, and I consider this book my torch. I pass it on to one of you, loyal readers, to continue the investigation and take it where I could not. So this is an interesting paragraph, because the dream journal that Clay was writing gets thrown into the lake. And we know what happens when literature is thrown into the lake, or at least exposed to the lake. It makes it real. So did Clay literally cause the dreams to happen in the past by putting his dream journal into the lake now? He created a circular event. It's a closed loop. He caused his own dreams to happen. And this right here is the best piece of evidence I have, where, remember how we talked about the painter who did the painting, Tobias Crane. Tobias Crane did a painting about the glowing lights over Cauldron Lake years, like a couple decades after the event in 1917. And then Hartman took that painting and is keeping it at the Cauldron Lake Lodge. If the lake got access to that painting, did it create another closed loop where now the lights occurred? Because the art went into the lake after the fact. Because remember, time, like the dark place does not exist within linear time. It exists outside of time. And then here it flat out says that's exactly what happened. Yes, this is also how Alan's power works, because his visions are non-linear, because his visions occur through the dark place, therefore they exist outside of time. Anyways, let's finish this off. When I finally left Bright Falls and returned to Madison, I looked for Anna and Milo. The apartment was empty and Anna's family refused to answer my calls. The apartment was empty. They were gone and I was abandoned, alone. I searched for almost a year before making contact. I now work as an assistant in the basement of the university library, shelving books mostly, but occasionally fixing network problems and waking sleeping students at closing time. On those brief occasions when one of those students catches my eye, they look away too quickly, or they are overpolite. I get the sense that they're afraid to catch whatever I have. Perhaps they look down on me with my anxious manner and ill-fitting clothes, convinced that I am one of life's forgotten and poor beyond pity. I let them look down, smug with pride of my secret. See, they don't understand what I have. They don't know that when I finish work, my back sore and my feet as heavy as cinder blocks, that I catch a bus to the other side of town, where I climb 6 floors to a small but well-kept apartment. They have no idea that when I open that door and see my beautiful wife and boy looking up at me and smile, that I am awash in the light and warmth of 1,000 suns. They don't understand that I have treasures beyond their imaginings, that I am untouchable, alive, and that I walk in the light. Clay Stewart. And here brings an end to the main story of Alan Wake. It's the rare feeling of pure satisfaction at the end of a story, 100%. So if anything, by being involved in this entire mystery, his entire life was turned around. He got his family back, and he no longer looks at the world in a pessimistic light. So, we're glad for him. So we will see more of him. At least there's an implication that we see him possibly in the House of Leaves blog, but also we know that the FBC made Clay Stewart a permanent... they put him on a watch list, basically. The FBC put Clay on a watch list because he is considered a minor para-utilitarian, for obvious reasons, because of what happened in this book here. But we don't have any information that the FBC followed up on it past keeping him watched. Wait, did I say House of Leaves? I apologize. House of Dreams. Sorry, it's late. I'm tired. I'd like to see more of Clay someday. I would too. I mean, you could argue that his role in the story is done. And we don't need to grab him again. And let's be 100% honest, given what happens to reoccurring characters, I'd like to just let him enjoy his life. So he can live out in his life on his own terms. We don't need to have him as a recurring character. Just know that he had his happy ending. Anyways, guys, that is going to be it for tonight. We're going to go ahead and move on to the DLCs next week. Yes, Ichiro, we meet Clay in the very beginning of the story in the dream. And all of this information is not in the game. If you didn't read the Alan Wake files, you would only see this guy, oh yeah, I'm Clay Stewart, and you would be like, okay, moving on. But because of this, we get such a rich story behind him, and I love it. Anyways, we'll be handling the DLCs next week. I'm not sure if we're going to do both of them in one go. We probably could, because let's be honest, there's no multimedia information, so we're just going to be playing the game. There's no stop and start. But anyways, take it easy, guys. You have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.